For now, I guess we
Finally.
don't really have any viewers watching, but I'm going to start with the introductions anyways, because this is going to make its way on YouTube at some point, and having everyone introduced at the start of the video makes sense. So today is the first podcast attempt to talk about the Guild Wars 2 economy, and in order to be able to have a very good overview of the current state of the economy, I have invited to this show three people that have their hands at different levels in the Guild Wars 2 economy and who do different stuff on their free time to have an impact both on the market and on the people they are helping and teaching, which make them very valuable for this podcast. So on the top left corner we have who is well known for having already participated on the Wooden Potatoes video about the economy. If you'd do the honors.
Yes, I've still got my Walkie Talkie, so that's good. No one has donated, but things have changed, I guess, from that video. Definitely one of the things I'd love to talk about this podcast that we were all talking about was just how we got here and where we're picking up here after that video. And, I'm sure there's plenty that the other two guests will also want to talk about with us as well.
And indeed, the other people who are with us are none other than Zener and Souls. So Zener, if you'd introduce yourself.
Few people might know me, but majority probably won't. I have created a few guides how to flip and do daily stuff with trading post. Generally, I'm open to help people learn the trading post, but most of my time is spreadsheeting.
And then the last person who is with us is Souls.
Greetings, I'm Souls, co-leader of the Teepee Guild, another one of very, very large legendary producer to the Teepee Guild and the economy, and also a fairly big investor in majority of items in the game, including also spreadsheeting on my level.
I think we're all pretty much spreadsheeting all the time, whenever we are free. For me, it's on my work time. Like, whenever I have downtime at work, I just open a personal spreadsheet and I have a look at what I can do. So, as said earlier, our starting point for this podcast is going to be the end of the Wooden Potatoes video. They talked about how they got to where they were when it came to gold making. That is from the start of the game to the very established and prevalent position they have right now on one of the major Guild Wars 2 markets, that is to say the legendary weapons one. And as he said, we're going to start from where they left to get this podcast on its way. So if you'd do a conclusion on what you were in the Wooden Potatoes video and get us started?
I would pretty much, when we came together to do that podcast with Little Potatoes, it was basically looking at how, everything that happened this year. There was the whole layoff. There was, a lot of controversy over, updates that were neglected, WW, PvP, and just the low activity, from a lot of those game modes. And even in what happened recently, it was just, we noticed there wasn't a lot of gold coming into the system, noticed a lot of prices fluctuating up and down, and at the same time, we were looking at player activity and it wasn't making sense. And one of the festivals we'll talk about later, which showed the low activity, that there wasn't any activity for wins. A lot of those things, pushed us to ended up, we need to see the casual side of it, and that's why we came to the potatoes, and we had to, make that video because we realized there's a lot of players who couldn't, piece together that you could maybe make one, a quick 2,000 gold off of, even if you were flipping or making a weapon, and the problem was that people thought it was too difficult to do something like that, right? But obviously, since then, that's not been the case. A lot of upcomers have actually been able to understand what we were trying to talk to them about.
I'm going to add to that, it's really good to enlighten these people, the majority of the casual player base, because again, as we've stated, in that particular Wooden Potatoes video, there is no medium class. There's only high and low class, unfortunately. But one thing we did want to make clear is we wanted to show players how much hidden liquid gold there is amongst casual accounts, whether it be spirit shards, account bound resources, items that you've got farm left, like pretty much racking up dust in your bank or something. It's something that a lot of people should realize, should understand. This stuff you can make gold from. There are lots of people that have problems with gold, either it be spending, gambling addictions, freaking stuff they just want to buy. Everyone's got something they want to buy in this game. It's fashionable for a reason. It's what this game is known for. This is one of the reasons to help with that kind of problem. Enlightening the casual player base.
You need gold if you want to buy fashion wars.
Yeah,
Basically.
definitely. Like what you're saying is actually pretty interesting, because if you actually have a look at the Guild Wars 2 scene on YouTube, when it comes to economy video and gold making videos, quite a lot of them are targeted at the very casual people. So the like non-existent middle class we're talking about, these people who actually have money but don't realize it. A lot of them are being told to like use their laurels on tier 6 bags to look at having the material storage, because ever since we got the deposit to storage button, a lot of wealth has left the trading post and has just been sitting in people's banks because they don't realize these items can be sold, as they don't have them under their eyes anymore. And I think that you're very right in saying that a lot of people needed that very basic enlightenment, to get to understand that the gold, they have it already, and it's just up to them to decide how to use it. But Zener, you were starting to say something about that, about guides and people needing to be enlightened?
Yes.
I think I interrupted you. Yeah, go on.
People lack basic economic knowledge in this game, and it's seen all across the player base. Even within the more wealthy people that got their gold by gathering daily, farming daily, I don't know, you name it. Many ways to earn gold in this game. I have gathered a bunch of information all across the board because I'm interested in this. I like to know how to get the most of my time, so I'm gathering every piece of information you can get. So I joined a lot of communities for that. But the middle class in this game, as we all agree, doesn't really exist. People left the game, and currently we are suffering a big hit from that. Nobody is really able to buy things that are expensive. So if we take a look at last episode from the story, this episode introduced a few exclusive items to the game. One is relative cheaper, around 100 gold, and other is super rare and is already cloaking 10,000 gold per piece. And we don't exactly see that much people interested in these items, even the 100 gold one, because people can't afford to spend their earnings for something like this. They rather go for their legendaries weapons or ascended armors because they suffer from the lack of gold.
Actually, that's a very interesting point to make, because in Guild Wars 2, one of the things that were part of the let's say credo or philosophy of the developers was to make it so that anybody can readily get the best state of gear regardless of the game mode they play and regardless of their level of wealth. For example, if you want to get into raiding, you can do it with exotics, and after some time you're gonna have some magnetite shards or gaining crystals, and you're going to be able to purchase the gear that you need, the ascended gear. So that gold isn't necessarily much of the issue there, but is being reduced in front of the other currencies that you can use. And the gold that they save from doing this, they, as you say, immediately pour it into the next level of gear, because they get the ascended and then they're like looking at the legendaries. A lot of people in Guild Wars 2, you know, they just get into the game, and then they're like, what do I want to get? What's going to be my fashion wars when I'm going to be able to get it? And they settle on legendaries before they even start thinking of how they're going to be after they make it. Because if you want to make a parallel with real life, which of course doesn't make much sense because this is a video game, right? But you don't start your job and already think about buying a Ferrari 3 months after. Like, you can't do that.
That's
But
a
in
good
viewers
comparison.
too, people do it, you know, like they just get started and like, okay, I start playing, I want to get Sunrise, let's say, or whichever other legendaries, and they're just gonna settle on that idea and stick to it, and they're gonna completely miss all the other stuff they could do on the way that would ensure that after getting their Sunrise, they're already able to work on the next one. And that's the kind of information that Souls and MM have been providing through the Teepee Guild. Like, I'm not too versed into it, but I've read the chats a few times, and there are a lot of classes that are being held by Xushin, if I'm not mistaken, if that's how you say his name.
Yeah, Zushin.
There you go. And I think that what your guild is doing is like definitely helping these people, the whole mass of people that we saw watching the Wooden Potato video and realizing what the economy was about. If you two want to talk about what you do with the TP Guild,
Yeah.
the classes.
I mean, yeah, to sum it up, so the Overflow Discord is which was advertised throughout the Wooden Potatoes video and the other YouTube videos. Basically, what we wanted to do was we had a lot of people coming up to the TP Guild because it was very difficult for us to keep the name of, or keep the guild secretive, you know, because when you're starting out, you want to make sure only the people in your guild are benefiting and their friends. But then it got difficult because our name would just keep getting out there, and you have to expand, right? As what you have to do all the time. So we made that Discord specifically so that anyone outside of the guild who does not have a contact or a connection to the guild, but wanted to talk and learn, because as long as you're willing to wanna do this type of content, which is, you know, doing the best farms, maybe doing the best crafting, salvaging, or finding the best items on the trading post to make money out of. That was the purpose of that Discord, was to teach people, because we're gonna make, you know, obviously trade with those people later. So that was the advantage, right? Is we're gonna have someone who's also at our level later we could trade with. You know, it's to create more and more money in the market.
That's a
Top
very...
of-
go on, Souls.
On top of developing the Discord, because again, like it's a Discord for public interest. It's something we want. If people are interested in the TP Guild, kind of knowing how we run and things, this is a Discord to go to before we decide to cherry pick individuals. But one of the things that allows us with the creation of the Discord is if we see potential players, people that are striving, people that are thriving, people that don't seem to be slacking, that are willing to learn, willing to understand, willing to progress themselves in being a whatever it is, a TP Baron, a very wealthy legendary power trader in the legendary market, whichever one it is. This also allows us to cherry pick on individuals that we see may have potential in joining the TP Guild, and that is where we can basically hold your hand, guide you a little bit further to the point, not just in the legendary market itself, but in a few other things, to the point that you start pretty much, you start walking on your own steps. Like, that's what part of the reason of the TP Guild is to do. Like, there's a handful of people within the actual guild that we hold their hand, we tell them a few things here and there, and then when they get to a certain milestone, we pretty much say, okay, you're on your own now. You have plenty enough liquid gold to dish out into a few different markets, whether it be investing, short term, long term, and hopefully at that point they would have expand their horizons to understand what are the potential markets to invest in. And again, there's lots of pointers to help with this. You have festivity events, Halloween, Winter's Day, Luna, lots of different events where a lot of these festive activities become really, really good investment points for players.
And that's like before we get to talk about all of the events and what you can do with them. One thing that I find very interesting is that you guys in the Teepee Guild and Zener as well, by making his very tailored guides that show you exactly how to proceed. What every single one of you is doing is basically enabling people to become elite traders like you by using similar methods and having access to the same knowledge. Like I've personally been around the gold making scene of Guild Wars 2 for a very long time, and very interestingly enough, quite some time ago, the main way for people to make money was to somehow trick others into investing in what they did, but later on, or picking up on some methods, but never the perfect one. And a lot of money was indeed made that way by people at the start of the game by just telling others, hey, you should use that method to make gold because it's going to make you richer. And then that person made maybe 30 gold, but whatever impact it would have on the market by doing their things would actually benefit the person prior to them by, let's say, 100 gold. Like 3 times the amount sounds about logic for that. And what all of you is doing is bringing people to the same level as you are. And what I'm curious about is how that helps you generate wealth.
What comes down to it is, being a trading post guild, our main incentive in the guild is that you're just trading, right? So everything that we do, besides if we ever get together for events or anything, always has to involve with raising your liquid value. Why we do this is because we create our economy within the guild, within the different types of other guilds that have friends in our guild, or there's a connection somewhere through deals or trades, whatever it could be. So being able to sustain that, you obviously want, for example, if we have like 20 people who join the TP Guild with like 1,000 gold each, the extent of deals I could do with those guys is not going to be very much room, right? I can maybe trade with them on items like their T6 mats, and maybe their ectos, maybe they have some investments, but I can't really do scale it up with them, right? Because you can only trade up to what liquid gold the person has on the other part. But now if all those 20 people have 5k, 10k, one of those 20 people happens to have 20k, 30k, I could now do deals that I would want to do that would also benefit me as well, right? To make it worth my time to trade with this person. Because if I'm trading with 20, 30 different people and it's very small, trades, why can't I just do that with one person who has all of their net worth put together, right? So it was always the idea that we got to generate more gold in the system. We bring more people in. They understand within a certain time they get to 5k, 10k, 50k. But all that adds up into being able to trade with more people. Someone can be a T6 supplier, someone can be an ecto supplier, someone can be involved in doing precursor and different types of expertise, and allows you to have a bit of everything. So you don't have to go to the trading post sometimes to purchase things. You have any item you want. There's someone in the system can get it for you, and you're always saving a bit of the tax because you're all doing everything at 90% of lowest listing. That's where you're also generating wealth. You're cutting yourself a nice 5% profit off the tax.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're scaling it up. Economies of scale, exactly. Across, think of the TP Guild as a company, and then the company has to expand. You can only push as much as you can, and then you have to raise the bar.
Yeah, I mean, with this, you have actually enlightened me on what you guys are doing. Because I was always thinking, okay, they're building people up, but at the end of the day, they're creating competition. But actually, no, you're giving everybody a place in the system so that they provide what you need when you need it. And in order for you, in the end, to benefit from everything that is being done from others. And that is very good. And that,
I have to say, it is a competition.
Why?
Because at the end of the day, the person who wants the most liquid or wants to get there the most, that's the person that's going to be, say, the next big person that gets it done, right? 100k or 200k. So it is competition, but at the same time, there's no excuses because everyone knows, if you research, if you come into lectures more often, if you talk to more people with their own different experience on how they made their money, you're gonna learn more. So yeah, there is a competition side of it, but at the same time, everyone benefits being able to have more traders in the market.
Right.
That's another thing to clarify, actually, is the amount of lectures that Zushin does within the Overflow Discord is quite phenomenal. The amount of information he's able to dish out just through how much he can talk is impressive. I don't understand how any individual can talk just as much as he can to 20, 30, 40, 50 people, whatever how many people that are in the server at the time. And all these people gather here just because they want to listen, they want to learn, they want enlightenment on how to do things. And it's interesting because he uses real life examples as well. He'll bring in like real life economist figures. Whether they may be overboard or not, that's up to you. But the guy takes economy in the game very, very seriously. And it's good to see that we have individuals like this willing to teach other people. Regarding what Guild was saying about saving tax, this is where, again, like the trading company is part of this. The Guild trading company can do this for you. But other than that, there's also a subreddit for this. They go to Exchange, which is, again, one of, actually, if not the best trading facility for people to use if people want to sell items, buy items. This is, again, the third-party facility that most people can trust. It's run by fairly good mods. There is a lot of like really, really good traders in there. Like, you can see people's trading reputation. It's not just like a bunch of randoms. You can literally, there's everything at your disposal. You can ask for trading reputation. There is no harm in asking people, how do I know who to trust? Like, it's there, black and white. It's very, very easy. And again, this is just up to people to just make the effort to actually this is
man, we're gonna get sued, man. You're making so many ads for your guild, and now the guild says, man, we're gonna get in trouble. We're gonna get in trouble.
I'll get in trouble, don't worry. But the Guild Exchange is a really good place for trading, is all I'm gonna say. For people that want to maximize the profit.
Okay, we get it. They make it.
Alright. I'll be off on my tangent now.
Yeah, that's alright. That was good and everything, but let's actually start delving into the topic that both you and MM brought up earlier. Like, you were saying, we've got people who are learning about the economy, and that's what Zener does as well. You all are teaching people about the economy.
Yeah.
You're getting them to gather that knowledge, to get somewhere further, and actually some of the top times for people to do economy related stuff is when we have events running in the game. The reasons behind this is that events are seasonal. They come back every year. Each time there is a little add-on to it that brings a little twist on what you can do with your money. But every year, then again, they are a time where the population on Terria rises tremendously because people want to play these events. Like, all the casual people, they come in when we have patches. They come in for Living Story. They come in for the events that are recurring, like Halloween was right now, like the Four Winds were earlier this year, and like Winter's Day is going to be quite soon upon us. So who wants to make the honors to talk about the events?
Well, let's start with Four Winds and how horrible this event was.
Alright, maybe I'll do a little introduction on what the Festival of the Four Winds is supposed to be. So of course it is a very nice celebrations. The Zephyrits are there. They're very cool people, you know. They bring all of their mini games. It's dope. You get to bash a fucking like giant effigy. It's good, you know, good energy all around. You've got water balloons. You've got a lot of choyas stuff you can do around. It's very hype, right? It's such a good event. So much stuff to do. But the main point, economy-wise, that we had when it was finally reintroduced back in 2018 was that this event has the specificity of removing materials from the game and adding specific items back into it. And that was how the whole thing was designed. You don't use your gold, you don't use your currencies, you use materials to buy the bags. And from these bags, you get rare items. Uh-huh. So,
Yeah, sure.
Like
who
the
wants to get
advanced
started?
path.
Go
I
on.
guess I could talk about if, relating to the infusion aspect at least. If maybe Zener wants to cover another part for Winds, but
Sure.
for Souls and I came into the Four Winds with the idea of the infusion investment, which was because of the success of the 2018 event, right? If we just go
It
back
was
2
a
years,
massive
It
success
was
for us,
crazy.
by the way.
yeah, it was the amount of people that tried to get those confettis, chalks, queen bees, every single type of rare infusion. That event was recorded to have dropped like 150 chalks and confettis. Like that was way too many than you would ever think would drop in the event, and that was what allowed some people who, coincidentally were putting up a 10K buy order, right? I chucked one in, Souls put one in, a few other people who put one in. No one thought that they were all going to fill that fast. So you had people selling these at 10K, and then 6-7 months later, the market people who ended up sitting with them would just flip it on the Guild Wars 2 exchange, where people go to trade such items that you can't acquire, without knowing someone, right? So on the exchange, people were flipping this for 20K, 21K, 18K to 20K for the confetti, for example, right? And liquid Aureliums and Queen Bees also went up to their respective value. Queen Bee peaks at 6K now. So you could see where you could make an easy 10K profit, just by having your buy order at that time, being there to get one. So what people thought was that was going to be the same idea in the next Four Winds, was that Infusions was going to triple investments again. And of course, when we talk about the activity wasn't there, that's what went bust, right? We didn't get 150 chalks and confettis dropping in this year's event. We barely got any, I think, like 5 or 6 was it recorded. So
Only a handful. Only a
you-
handful, and that went to a specific individual.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was something alongside the numbers. Like, I think that specific individual we're talking about got 9 of them, if I'm not mistaken. And then
He had a lot.
there
He
were
had
a
a
few
lot of orders
others.
then.
Yeah, but there were a few others who got into the pockets of other individuals. But that's like a tenth of the scale of what we had in 2018. And I myself, I had buy orders up. I was like, boys, this year I'm getting them, because 2018 I was just buying a shitload of like Aureliums and Queen Bees, and I made bank on these. I was like, wow, so cheap, such easy gold. And then I regretted not having put a buy order on a Chak or a Confetti. So for 2019 I was ready. I had a buy order on each of them. I was like, at least one's gonna fill. No indeed.
so
In regards to the Four Winds event, though, to add on to Gilda, one of the reasons why, so approximately 140, 150 infusions came into the game during the 2018 Festival of the Four Winds. Now, it was a very, very, very sad year for us in 2019 for this Four Winds, just because, regarding the state of the economy, it did not recover. This was the first time in about 4 to 5 years that Four Winds had recently come back, because Four Winds didn't come back. Last time the Four Winds it wasn't even Four Winds. It was something else, basically.
The Queen's Pavilion.
Yeah.
Queen's Pavilion, yes. And that was in 2014, 2015. This
Indeed.
is the first time we've had this Four Winds event, which, again, like new events, that's going to cause a hype. This is like everyone's going to be excited for this, especially when ANET introduced these very, very expensive infusions into the game through these loot boxes. Everyone's going to take a gamble. People are going to use their friend's account, alt accounts, freaking whatever, just to have a shot at these boxes. That's what everyone did. And because of that, because they brought it back exactly almost 1 year after, the economy haven't recovered. Like all the materials, like it's such a significant material sink for the game that everyone just didn't have stuff like that, and the fact that people just kind of knew better. People just knew that these boxes aren't worth it anymore after seeing the result of the 2018 event. So that is one of the reasons why there wasn't as many Chaks and Confettis and Aureliums and Bees that entered into the market.
Yeah. I
And
mean, what was very interesting about that event being introduced in 2018 is that beyond the fact that they put items that were very rare in the game into these boxes, they also put items that weren't available. Like, there is the chromatic ooze tonic. That item wasn't available in the game prior to the Festival of the Four Winds of 2K18. I actually was working right before the event released. I was working on a top 10 items that never made it into the game, and it was listed in it. And because of that patch, I trashed the entire video. I never released it because it fucked me over. But that's what I mean is that they managed to create some hype, not only because they made items that are very rare available, they made stuff that you weren't able to get before available. And that specific tonic, I bought 3 of them for 800 gold, and I managed to sell 2 of them at like 4k, and I was like, what? That was crazy gold for me. I didn't think I would possibly be making that much just from that specific tonic. And as you said, the hype this year around wasn't the same because people knew the drop rates were shit, because drop rates are always garbage. You can always assume they're bad.
If we talk about festivals this year, I have to say, like, there was a bit of a difference as well between the event last year, the year before, and this year's was that I feel like when the whole layoff thing happened, and yes, that probably got a lot of people to, you know, switch the game off, leave something. But we also had, like, when the new team was coming in and they just wanted to keep us occupied with something, they came up with all these world boss weeks where they were dropping these, you know, the same infusions that we were waiting for in 4 Winds. And there was even a bit of worry with, like, a lot of the top players in the economy. They were talking about, like, is this going to affect our market? Should we start, you know, investing in the chalks and confettis now? Should we wait till the 4 Winds? Is this going to... So a lot of people had to debate whether or not to keep buying or start buying up a lot of these infusions, or should we hold off? And, you know, I was on the side where I'm going to try and pick some up now in case I can't pick everything up in 4 Winds, which I feel paid off for me because it turned out there wasn't anything in 4 Winds. But these world boss events didn't even drop. I don't think there was even any single chalk or confetti recorded in the
There was one.
Dragon.
There were a few. They were at least 1 to 2.
We got the few.
1 to 2, but for Dragon
1 to
Bash,
2 for each.
1 to 2, and then the world boss events, if you add them all together before the 4 Winds, we had 2 to 3 events essentially to give us these items, and 2 to 3 events all generated like maybe 6 to 7 of the confetti and chalks total, right? Maybe not even 6 or 7. I feel like part of that, along with the layoffs and everything, killed a lot of hype for 4 Winds, where we even saw, we could talk about the Ecto wall that never even, we couldn't even reach the wall.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about breaking the wall, could not even reach the wall.
It was really, really sad. That 20, what was it, 24 silver at the Ecto wall?
24, 59, no, something like this.
Something like this, yeah.
It was around that. There was a huge wall made by a handful of us because, again, this is something that should have happened, but it didn't because the lack of hype there was for this year. There is a massive wall, and I think it's still there. And we didn't even get anywhere near to touching it.
Bro, I'm not even mad. I refrained from adding to the wall and I sold below you guys. And I actually sold everything I had. I had like, I think 20,000 ectos, and that was easy.
Yeah.
Okay, I sold them 1,000 by 1,000, but still, very easy. Zener, go on. You were gonna say something before we like started pinging, like bouncing around the ideas about the festival. You wanted to say something.
I mean the world boss rush and the event rush. These events are actually a nice addition to the game, and referring to the 4 Winds with this in mind, you can see a problem. Because if you take a look at the boxes from the World Boss Rush and Event Rush, they are actually nice addition to the drop you are getting doing these bosses, these events. Because they actually drop something that you can sell for a hefty amount of money. While if you look at the 4 Wind box, well, what you can see, this box is absolute trash compared to these boxes. And I was low-key hoping they would adjust the four-wind box to the similar level of the world boss box, because why someone would buy the four-wind box when, aside from, of course, infusions, it have basically no value at all. It's just dumb on their part. If we would see this change, I suspect we will actually see new infusions coming to the system, because people would buy these boxes for a chance at something decent instead of totally bad.
We can see that we can see that ANET actually did listen to some of the actual player base regarding how crappy these drop rates were. So we can see that during one of the World Boss Rush weeks, so in case people haven't noticed, whether for those that are new to the game or those that haven't, listening in chat, there was, I think on the second or third World Boss Rush, they actually changed some of the loot contents inside these bonus boxes are good, because people were saying it's pretty crappy. They don't want to be spending, like, it felt very, very unrewarding. It was very, very sad, kind of depressing. And they actually increased the amount of loot, like the quantity of each item. Instead of it being 2, 3, it was like 8, 15, something like that.
Yes, exactly.
They also listened to the people regarding having some of the infusions swapped around. So they actually took out some of the contents in the super rare category that shouldn't have been there in the first place, like the
polyrefractors. Yes,
Berserker,
all of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
all of
these were
these
supposed to
80
be rare.
gold, 60 gold.
But they were supposed to be rare.
Yeah, like
they were released in 2013. That's when they were supposed to be rare. And they were expensive back then, actually. Like, if you got a black refractor in 2013, man, you could sell that and buy a precursor. Right off the bat. Just like that, easy. What? And actually, the last time they had a great spike, these items, was when they could be made into infusions. Like, there was this one patch in 2017, I believe, that allowed you to make any form of upgrade, like a queen bee, preserved, like Aurelium, everything. It allowed you to make them into infusions. And at that point, that was the last spike they ever knew. Since then, it's been garbage. Like, it was worth it for some time to just convert the upgrade into an infusion, but even that is not really much of a profit anymore. It's like very marginal.
Sadly.
Yeah, sadly. I mean, that's another one of my spreadsheets I can just trash. Like, feels bad, man.
Same here.
But yeah, what you're saying about working on drop rates is actually very interesting, because I don't know if people are aware of how the loot categories work in Guild Wars 2, but the way the Magic Find works is that before you even have the items you roll for, it's like you first roll a category. You roll like common, uncommon, rare, super rare. Usually it's these four. So you roll between one of the categories. And then once you're inside a category, it rolls again within the category for the items.
Yeah.
And that means that getting the specific super rare drop you want to have is almost guaranteed never to happen. That's why the drop rate is so shit. It's because everything is weighted down twice. And you gotta multiply between these two. So you first have to land into super rare, and then you have to land the actual good infusions. Them removing very shitty infusions from the super rare category was a great move that wasn't, in my opinion, appreciated enough by the player base. They didn't realize how good of a thing it was at that moment. Even though we still don't have that many infusions that come from the both rush events, it is still a very nice job on Aaron and Ed's part.
Yes. Speaking of drop rates, since I actually have recorded a very, very fair amount of a range of different boxes throughout the years of festivities that ANET has thrown at us. I'm going to use the Zephyrite supply box in 2019 as an example. So,
okay.
Amassed from a group of friends, some of them being here, Yordamem, Zener, and Co being a very, very big contribution to it. But I have recorded 455,695 Zephyrite supply boxes. This is an insane amount of data. This is a lot. What I can say about from this data that I have, the super rare category, the chances of getting a super rare category from this 455k Zephyrite supply boxes, 0.00014. That is very, 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 very low.
Oh my god.
Out of all of this, there were the Chaos of Lissa recipe was the most common super rare item to drop. If anyone was going to get a super rare item drop, it was most likely going to be a Chaos of Lissa recipe.
Jesus.
There was
That's
only out of this
crazy.
entire data set, there was only one festive confetti infusion. No Chak, one confetti, no Queen Bee, no liquid Aurelium. Let me just quickly double check. No, I have one liquid Aurelium. There is one liquid Aurelium drop. But there is no Chak. 455,000 Zephyrite supply boxes. No Chak, one confetti. It was a loss overall. It was definitely a loss overall. If you landed maybe one more Chak, one more confetti, you may have cut even at that point, but
Nice.
yeah, no, so super rare being 0.00014 and then the rare being 0.009, so rounded up to let's say 0.01. That is still very low. That's a tenth of a decimal, and just for the rare category, and that's just a bunch of the wind catch, the wind catcher, sun catcher, the toxic spore skins, the Zephyrite gloves.
They cost 5
yeah,
gold
no,
each.
Yeah, it's not worth. It's not worth. And
But
it's
that's-
like if people had their hands on this kind of data, if people were like taking into account all these things, they would look at these boxes as a joke. Like, come on.
They are
like,
a
you
joke.
don't wanna-
That's the thing, is that they are meant to be a gamble, so to speak. But the thing is, in Guild Wars 2, there are some gambles where you're actually pretty sure that you're going to be on the winning side, and there are gambles that are just too bad and you're never going to be on the winning side. There are some ways to gamble. No, fuck that shit. Man, I lost. The first time I found myself nearly at 0 gold was after a shitty streak at Take to Gamble. I put 20,000 cash in it, and I regretted it dearly. Because I had to
It's
sell
fun.
stuff to get gold back after. But like, yeah, it is fun. And the thing is, the adrenaline you get when you actually do a nectar roll is very different from what you get from opening Zephyr boxes.
It's very high adrenaline. It's basically 150 gold each time you click. So
Exactly. So like you know you're playing with big numbers to get a super big number, but that you have a chance to just keep rolling, right? Whereas
That's
on the
sweet
Zephyr
to
boxes, you just keep losing. Like unless you actually get stupidly lucky, it's never gonna work. And as somebody just said in the chat, that's why they banned the gambling in Belgium. That gambling actually only applied to the Black Lion chests. Like I couldn't buy a key in Belgium. I could get them gifted to me, but I couldn't buy them myself, which is very dumb. Because you'd expect that you wouldn't be able to get them gifted to you either. But that said, the only thing that the legislation attacked was when you could buy the gamble with real life money. What we're on to right now is in-game gamble. The only thing you use is your own gold. The only thing you use is basically your playtime. You're sacrificing the playtime you have accumulated to get riches, and you're using all of that to do the gamble. But some gambles just are better adrenaline or better odds than others. Like if you're forging precursors, there are ways to forge precursors that will always net you a profit.
yeah, but
No.
it's really slow.
It's of course
Very,
it's
very
extremely slow, but
profile.
you always make profit. Like I did it for like 2 months, and I think I sold 50 precursors, and I was like, I didn't like lose money on any single one of them because I was making
it's-
money with the method, and I could
It's
still forge
perfect.
as a side. It was perfect. It was just perfect.
But it's super slow because people aren't exactly creating weapons for that.
Yeah,
If you have free time, sure do this, but overall, it's not exactly the best money making method.
it's definitely
It's-
not the best one, but it's fun. Like That's what
I
the
mean, yeah.
gambling aspect is. Like, in a game where you don't get a lot of content to play regularly, the ability to build up your riches and then spend them gambling actually plays a huge part. Because it is a form of enjoyment. And it is a form of enjoyment that everybody is into. You look at YouTube, you look at gambling channels, you look at a lot of people just flaunting their money, throwing it at something and hoping to get something back. You know that it's a huge thing. Like, there was a reason why the CSGO gambling scene was so huge. Gambling gets people. And
Yeah, it's a very good thing if you are watching, but not exactly very good thing if you're doing. It's two different cases.
If you're gambling, you should always know that whatever you're gambling is could be lost, right? So it's not like anyone who does that is gonna expect always a win. It's a different type of, I guess, spending your money. I don't personally gamble too much in the game. Even I gamble like maybe less than a lot of players, so it's different. It does have some profits to some people. You need to know the limit when to stop. And I'm sure a lot of the forgers who forge and gamble talk about, there's certain specifics when to gamble, when you should cool down, and so a lot of other factors that come into it. That's even their own, market that they know more about than we do.
yeah, I mean,
Even gambling for precursors, although a lot of people do it to make money, it's still kind of affected by another item, like legendary weapons.
yeah.
Right now,
Yeah.
speaking of legendary weapons, it's extremely oversaturated. It's kind of thanks to us, but it is extremely oversaturated right now.
Someone wanted to let people know how to make money, so suffer the fate.
That was such a free blow.
This is the fate that we must partake now. But we can look at legendary weapons right now. It's extremely oversaturated. But
you brought this upon yourselves, lads. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not dipping into this. It's your problem.
Reason, though.
it was for a good reason.
I mean,
to be coming.
I mean, even if it's a bot for them in the short time period, it's great in the long time period. And many folks will miss that point, but even if they are losing now, they will earn double in the future. And that's what happens when you can freeze your assets for a longer time. You can basically use things in order to gain more just by waiting, because you know something will happen. So in the case, they're simply sitting on the assets and waiting, because now it's oversaturated, but of course it will regulate itself, so why not that?
To lead in from that video, there was a lot of consideration on what was going to happen, and obviously this was expected when we were going to put out that video. But the benefit side of it is, if you understand, what to do with your items in the game, you're going to be fine at the end of this, right? Like Zener said, when you can afford to sit on something for so long, let's just talk legendary weapons, right? That's the thing everyone now is making, because there's been talked about different ways to make your weapon, how you can cut cost and cut your cost down in different ways. So with that being said, yes, if you're someone who cannot afford say sitting on 5-10 weapons, maybe this is not the best case for you. Maybe you find out what do you want out of those weapons. Maybe you find out I need to use another method, maybe to get quick capital, because you don't want to take the loss on the weapon right now. It's too cheap to sell on the trading post, right? So this is where you go and you find other methods to get the cash capital that you need, that the other market used to bring for you, right? This was the whole idea of the video, was that go out of your comfort zone. Because it's like how you got into raid. You didn't know how to raid. It's like how you do fractals. And with gold making, it's not, people always talk about, it's always spreadsheet. It's always looking at the trading post for 10 hours. Plenty of people make their gold in raid selling. Plenty of people make their gold with other stuff. It's just, what do they use this stuff for? Just be smart about that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, to get back at what Zener was saying earlier, about sitting onto something specific when you know that something is going to happen. I'm just going to draw a parallel about that to something that happened quite some time ago. So this is only going to be an interesting memory for the people who played back then. But when we started playing Guild Wars 2, at the start everything was cheap, and then people just got richer and richer, and the items gained value, right? And then at some point there happened something that kept these items at a specific price. That was gold sellers. At some point gold sellers were making and selling legendaries, and they pretty much had control over a hefty part of the economy when it came to that. That was 2013 and 2014 mostly. And you always had legendaries about at the same price, about at the same profit margin. It was always, I could always sell a legendary for that price, because back then I was making legendaries. I made like, I think it was very slow back then. Maybe across 3 months I made 40 or 50 of them. But for me that was good profit, because I could sell each of them for like 800 gold profit, and I was fucking golden. I was very happy with it. But at some point all the bots got banned, and then the market slowly desaturated. All the legendaries that were being added onto it by the gold seller were actually removed, and you could definitely tell that the prices were fluctuating much more. I remember seeing Bifrost at nearly 6,000 gold. I remember seeing Eternity at 8,000 gold. It just sold so well and at such high prices. And right now we are in a position where the player base is saturating that specific market, thanks to the video that the Teepee Guild made with wooden potatoes.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I mean, come on, like,
No problem.
let's not be salty. Come on, but it's gonna change. That's what I'm saying. Like, at some point, all of that saturation is gonna stop, because the people who are making the legendaries and adding them on the training posts are gonna realize they're just taking part in a queue. That they're just putting their item and waiting, and they're going to be like, do I want to add 100 items to the queue and wait? Or do I want to put like 2 items in the queue, think, okay, I'm going to get my 5,000 gold in, I don't know, a month or 2, and then move to something else, because that's where the gold can be made right now. That's exactly what I think Souls and MM were saying earlier, is that they learned that they can make the money with a legendary. They put it on the trading post. They realize it's not going to sell. As Zener said, it becomes an asset that can just stay there until it unlocks itself. And they move on to the other stuff they can work on. That kind of stuff being like all the daily stuff you can do, all the crafting, all the daily flipping that Zener showcases in his videos. Or it can be related to like events, such as we said earlier, the 4 Winds, but that one was a fiasco. Or Halloween, for instance. More recent one, maybe closer to everybody's memories.
Yes, I remember them.
One thing I feel like... Oh, sorry, go out.
Only downside to using that method, as we said, treating the weapon as an asset, as like a form of Bitcoin to trade with people, is you would have to have a lot of liquid gold. It's not like every single player in the Teepee Guild can handle this kind of thing. Like, unfortunately, it can be seen as a slightly vicious cycle. But like, because if you're someone that needs your assets, that you can't afford to have your assets frozen, you need to find a way to get rid of this weapon. You need to find a way to turn it back into materials, whether it be Mr. Coins, Ectos, Precursors, T6 mats, whichever the case. If you want to keep recycling, keep making a profit, because while yes, it is kind of profitable. Actually, semi-profitable right now on the trading post. It's a lot better if you can just find someone you can do a deal with, in order to get like precursors, like all these materials, so you can keep cycling, because it's every cycle. Imagine just like, so weapon production, selling, weapon production, selling. Every cycle you make about maybe 5%, 10% profit, really depending on how well you cut the costs on the weapon. It's pretty much why we tell people, advise people, in fact, to look for other sources of selling, whether it be direct trading or something, rather than just doing it on the trading post, because it does 2 things. One, that reduces the amount of weapons in the economy on the trading post, allowing these weapons to slowly go up in price again. And 2, people get better deals out of this. We'll keep listing these on the trading post. Whether they treat it all assets or not, there will be people that will be eaten up in this process. There will be people that will freeze and that will just won't make any gold. Like, unless they have other methods of making gold, which that's good. It's good if you have, I guess, an investment portfolio. You have more than one way to just making gold. Then you're safe. But if you're only a person that only has one method of making gold and this is it, you're gonna freeze. Especially if you don't have a lot of liquid gold. You will freeze. You will get eaten up in the market, and it'll be very, very hard for something like MM and like I to help you. As again, like we are the leaders of the guild. We are supposed to like help people, but it's one of the reasons why we tell people don't list so greedy. Like,
yeah, like you
if
help
you need
people,
something to sell.
You help people, but you aren't a charity organization.
Yeah. So it's the weapon market in the sense is supposed to be a start for you, right? It's the fastest market for you to put capital on yourself, either through selling the gift of masteries or making the weapon yourself and selling it quickly. And this obviously becomes faster, or the reason it's considered a really fast method is when you already are at that level where you can do it, right? But this is where, you're tied to the T6 market, you're tied to Ectos, you're tied to, because a lot of things go into making the weapon. You have to pay the converters if you have to use converters. You're paying people for those spirit shards, right? You have to take the Ectos, salvage. You have to check the prices. Sometimes salvaging Ectos for dust is not as profitable as putting buy orders for the dust with conversions, right? You have to check which gets you a bit more profit. So, you have to keep active with that. And all the things that come together to making the weapon. Now, if you're at 5K and 10K and this is, it gets to the point where you feel a little lazy, where you just want to keep, doubling up with the weapon because you could just keep trading for stuff you want. You skim off the 5% tax that you avoid. But this is the case, like we talked about, like I mentioned even earlier in the podcast, where, market gets oversaturated. Go find something else. Good luck, or you'll be stuck, and you could even go bankrupt by the time your market recovers, right? What will you do then? So it's just, experiment. If you are struggling, well, festival events are considered, beginner flipping for beginners or investment for beginners. The festival events usually have a rhythm, and we have quite a few items that get rotated every year, right? That everyone should kind of invest in.
What you're saying actually is very interesting because it goes back to one of the very basic theories of the economy in general, and more specifically in our case, the Glorious 2 economy. Diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in the same basket. And always be on top of the information. Like, you want to soak in the information, to learn what you have to learn. You want to get all of that in so that at some point you can have a proper look on the economy and be able to pinpoint which are going to be the next good things to invest in. Because, of course, a lot of the stuff you can do in the economy is based on looking at the past, and the other part that actually where the good traders differentiate from the other bad traders is looking at the future. Like, you can look at the past event and be like, okay, this rose and this rose and this rose, and I'm going to buy all three of these, and they're going to rise again, right? Because that's what they do every year. Or you can be like, okay, this new stuff came out, and I'm pretty sure that this is where the difference is going to be. This is what's going to make the difference in 3 months or 6 months, and I'm going to buy that. And this is actually a very good way for us to get into talking about other markets than just the legendary market or the material market. We can now delve into the investments, the events market, and we're going to start with Halloween. So who wants to go for it, or shall I?
You can go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll do the honors. So, as I was saying right before, what's very interesting about Halloween, in contrast to the Festival of the Four Winds, is that it is an event that comes back every year. Every year there is a slight iteration, a very slight modification, but it is recurrent. Ever since we had the Shadow of the Mad King, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the first installment of that event back in 2012, we've been having that every single year. We get the Mad King coming back, we get the jumping puzzles, we get some other stuff around, but most importantly, we get an event that is centered around a specific currency, that has a specific festival vendor, and that has time-limited rewards. Sorry. And what's actually important about that is time-limited means you have a window to invest in them. If you invest after the window, you're investing at a risk. If you're buying stuff throughout the event, you're also buying at a risk because the price is going to fluctuate throughout the event, and when you buy it might be a spike, whereas it's going to be on the low the week after. But still, events such as Halloween's are a very good way to learn about graphs, analysis, looking at the past, and anticipating the future. So now that's like the very general introduction on this. Does any one of you want to speak about a specific point when it comes to Halloween investments or other event investments?
I mean, when we talk... Okay, go ahead.
You can go, Zener, if you want.
Okay. When someone hears Halloween, I'm rather sure they see one item in particular in their head, and this is candy corn. And if we take this item as prime example of everything that is investment, we can easily see how it should go. And I mean to the very core, because first time around this item went down and spiked through the year as it should, because supply is rather limited related to the event. You are not getting it from someone else within the year, right? But the thing is, if you look at the graphs through the all 4 years now, or yeah, I believe it's 4 years now, you can see that each year the graph go lower and lower. It's not exactly spiking to the same highs as it was the year before. This is a natural course of investment. Each year, not only more people know about this item, not because it's popular, but also many people share the idea that this went good for me, so why you don't invest with me? We can both get enough profit, right? Another problem with that is each year the event comes back, and like Sam said, they add something new. The problem with this part is that it's not exactly something big. We can all say that each year the event is more and more the same as previous years, because they are, I'm not sure why this is happening. Are they lazy or they have no ideas? But each year we have less and less people actually needing the item. And this is where the future part comes into the play. Because if you can't notice that people don't exactly need this item anymore in the same quantity as the year before, you will struggle because you won't understand what is exactly happening with the item. You won't be able to tell why it didn't reach the same high as the year before. And this is the part that many people are missing. Just because something happened year before or 2 years before doesn't exactly mean it will happen this year, because every year something changed, something is added or not. And this is where you see a nice investor and a bad investor. People should look at the all things. I like to name it the bigger picture, all the details, all the facts. You need to organize this or you will be lost.
Definitely. Like, oh, you wanted to say something, Souls?
I just want to add on to that. Okay. So I'll give us a few specific items. So things like the classic Halloween skin. So things like the Great Sword skin, Scythe skin, and Ghastly Grading Shield. These all were at a point fairly popular. So we'll look at I'll use an example of let's see. we'll use the Scythe skin as an example. So 2016, October, the 17th of October 2016, this was a skin at 4k gold. 4,000 gold. It was very, very, very popular. Very expensive, but also pretty damn rare. We now look at it in 20th. So that was the 20th of 2017. No, 2016. So we look at it now in 20th of 2019. It's literally a couple hundred gold, 500 gold. It lost its value drastically. And again, this could be something foreseen, and it doesn't really look like it's a profitable investment. A way you can determine this is the Guild Wars 2 BLTC site. You can see the trends on this particular item where it doesn't look like it's a profitable investment. It's something that's just kind of stayed settled for. It's literally been lurking at a couple hundred gold since since pretty much last year. 22nd of October 2018, it's been about 300 gold. It's still roughly, it's 200 gold right now, 1 whole year later, even with the Halloween event. The Halloween event actually brought it down a little bit in price, from 400 down to about 279. It's not really worth the flip. Things like this, a long time ago, were a significant price. It was a really, really amazing investment. But now, like, looking at that, not so much. Other things like the Greatsword skin, another very popular Halloween skin, also sitting very subtle. It hasn't barely moved. We look at it in the 15th of October 2018. It was just underneath 500 gold. We look at it now, 15th of October 2019. Less than 300 gold. It's actually lost like a little bit of value. Unfortunately, these skins once upon a time were worth flipping. Not so much anymore. Even the Ghastly Grinning Shield. This is the slightly more expensive of the Halloween skins, but once upon a time this was worth about 3k gold. Look at it now; it's literally just under 1k gold right now. Again, 2018 to 2019 has been the same. 2017 was a really, really good time to actually be flipping it though. Actually, as early as 2016. 2016, if you had bought a Ghastly Grinning Shield, a handful of these copies at 2016 for about 1.1k gold, you would have made a very, very, very juicy profit selling it at 3.3, 3.2 in 2017. Look at it now; it's completely undervalued, and this is just because, again, like, people have these skins. There's either a lot less supply, either the drop rates are bad, or there's just less demand for these. Like, it hasn't been moving too much.
I mean, when it comes to this, and this is something, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but like, I know why the prices changed so much, or at least I think I know why. Something that ArenaNet has shown us is their like decision to make rare items more readily available to people. So we were talking earlier about infusions being in the super rare category on some boxes, and that sometimes making them more readily available. When it comes to the Ghastly Grinning Shields and the other skins, they first tried monetizing these items. Basically, if you opened Black Lion chests, you'd get a voucher, and with the winning vouchers or NF vouchers, you could acquire one of these skins. So basically, if you spent a lot of gold to gems to Black Lion keys, or a lot of money to Black Lion keys, you would be able to get one of these very rare and expensive skins and sort of break even. So that was their first attempt. But this actually proved to be rather unsubstantial, and they decided instead to add a Mystic Forge recipe, so to speak, to get these skins out of Halloween. And that's where you can see that there was a difference in the acquisition, because you've got on the TP both the weapon itself and a skin.
The skin.
Like, you've got the two items separately, and the skin is cheap, the weapon isn't, because the weapon was the old one, and the skin is the one that kept losing value, because you can forge it. Like, I've tried it, I proved it worked. I got a greatsword and a scythe by just forging. It was on one side it was rare greatswords, and on the other it was rare stabs. Yeah. Actually, no, I got the greatswords by forging rare daggers. That's the amount of bullshit there is in the Mystic Forge. Don't gamble, kids. Don't gamble.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like
Can agree with that there.
that's the thing. Like they had that decision to reintroduce rare items, and we actually felt it in like investments, because as you said, these items aren't worth investing into anymore. People realize they don't have the same value as before. They invest less. The supply gets drained less. And that's always the movement you have when it comes to investing on some very limited novelty fashion items. You are the investor, right? You see the item is cheap. You're like, okay, I put by order, I get what people drop. People drop them during the event, sell to you. You've got your stock, you're like happy, okay, easy. And then at some point, some people are gonna buy up the supply, or you're gonna buy up the supply, or the supply will get bought up because there is demand for it, so that you reach a price where it's profitable for you to sell, and the only people who are still buying at that price are the people who actually want the item for themselves, so who are going to take it out of the economy by binding it to their account. The item will never find its way back on the trading post. That is not true for infusions, by the way. Infusions you can buy and sell and do again. But skins, that's the reason why it's not working anymore. People who want the skin for themselves buy it for cheap during Halloween, and then the people who want the skin after Halloween are not going to buy it at like 3 times the price. They're just going to wait it out. So you end up having items that are not worth investing into because they are more available, cheap during the event, already around for a very long time, and overall that makes them not a good investment anymore.
Well, everything that is fresh and new is basically a good investment.
Good investment, yeah.
Yeah.
Royal Flame weapon coffer, anyone?
Yeah, for example.
That was very, very fixed. That one doesn't really count.
I mean, come on, like, I mean,
Not
Unless
like
you're
a-
able to sell it like right now.
Souls. It's the invisible hand of the market.
Yeah.
Nah, like, I mean, really, yeah, that item was heavily manipulated. It doesn't really count. It doesn't really count. I agree.
I mean, if you look at it from the investment perspective, this item is perfect, because not only people need more than one, on average, of course, because certain people will want one skin and others will want whole set. It depends on the person. You have also limited supply, nice price. What else?
Actually down to 92 gold right now.
Yeah.
Well.
I mean, it's not
It's
too
already
bad.
stabilized. After 2 days, after that specific individual bought out a whole stack of Royal Flame weapon coffers, it stabilized back to about 90 gold.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I bought them at like half that price.
Yes.
I don't care. I got mine at 40 gold. I'm happy. But like, that's an actual interesting example. Like, using Halloween as an example is very good, because if I just go back for a second to what Zener was saying earlier about candy corn, another thing that actually makes candy corn worth outside of Halloween is the candy corn gobbler. It gives you buffs in War vs. World. That's a lot of value. And the thing is that in previous Halloween editions, you had the Halloween extract, or whatever that shit was called. You know, like, you got these items. You had 3 of them that replaced your skills 1, 2, and 3. You could throw them at critters, at like white mobs, that actually made them into candy corn elementals that you could kill for trick-or-treat bags.
I remember that.
That actually maintained a pretty decent supply of trick-or-treat bags throughout the year. That was actually something that was good. And right now, we don't have that anymore. So that the way that is most interesting to work with the candy corn is either you have a bunch of it at the event, then wait throughout the year and sell here and there for like a little bit of cash, or you wait for the like month before Halloween, and then people are like, oh, maybe I should stock on candy corn because maybe we don't get as many this year, or maybe they introduce something good for it this year and I want to be the first one to have it because maybe I can make big profit on it. And then for the month before Halloween, it just rises. It's free. It's free as fuck. But like,
free real estate.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. It's that, as we said in events, there is always new stuff. Like, it's here again, but there is always a new installment, a new little thing on top. And usually that's something you get at a vendor. It's gonna be an item, it's gonna be a recipe, it's gonna be something, and you're gonna need currency that's tied to the event to get it. So quite obviously, stoking on candy corn before makes sense, and that also makes it less of a good investment afterwards, because the fuck are you gonna do with your candy corn after Halloween is over? Use it on your gobbler, sure.
Yeah.
Like you just click your gobbler for like an hour and you've got buffs for weeks, and you've used maybe not even a full inventory of candy corn. Like there's no reason to stock up on it in the millions like you could do before. Before it was actually good to just get an alt account, put 2,000 gold on it, buy 2,000 gold of candy corn and just pump it up 30 copper over the price at which you bought it on that alt account, so you would not fuck over your trading post on your main account, and just wait, because it would sell. You'd make that profit at some point in the year, and then just collect the gold back.
Yeah.
Now it's not
Similar
worth
items
doing it
like
anymore.
Hmm?
What? Sure, one of you two challenge me. Go on.
Souls, go.
I mean, no, I was agreeing with you there. Like, it's similar items like this. Like, we can see the same thing that happened with the Festival of the Four Winds. Like, these super cheap items, these things worth like a couple copper, 60 copper, 70 copper. Like, how mithril or silk, freaking plank, wood. Like, sorry, not planks, just wood. The same thing was like all fairly profitable for the Festival of the Four Winds. Not as profitable as we wanted to be, because again, the hype wasn't there like it was for last year, but we still made a pretty good bank out of that. But this will require you buying these things in mass quantities. Now, this is a pretty brain dead thing. This doesn't require you to have like freaking 200 IQ to make this type of investment. It's a very, very simple item that we all know gets used. Like, assuming you have been here for the last event, you know. Like, obviously we can't say for sure. Like, they could have suddenly changed the sync for the specifically the Four Winds boxes. Like, for all we know, they could have just made it bloody opal orbs or freaking
Eyes of Cormier. Eyes of Cormier. Fuck's sake!
They could. If Eyes of Cormier, if literally, if there is a sync for Eyes of Cormier, all those people sitting on millions.
I mean,
all those people sitting on millions, billions.
There is one thing
of Eyes of Cormier.
Yeah, man.
Okay, yeah, but that one we didn't talk about that. Or imagine if they finally brought like a massive sing for Isaac Cormier. These pathetic, like almost worthless item. We'll go with like people sitting on billions of this will be freaking millionaires in this game.
Yeah.
And again, like it's of course that's different though.
I need a sink for my congealed putrescences, because they dropped in price, and I was like, okay, easy. Brand sparks are going to be used at some point, so I just bought an entire guild bank of them. It's been a year. Brand sparks are still shit. I'm fucked. I feel like I'm Exilius right now. I feel like I'm role-playing as Exilius.
That's all Exilius. That's literally the only thing Exilius is invested in right now.
Fuck me.
He has all the brand sparks.
So
but
if
again,
it ever rises,
if he ever rises, he's going to be a millionaire in the game.
Yeah.
Like, hands down, he's probably got so much of the freaking supply in the game.
I mean, interestingly enough, that's the way some people got very rich back in, I think it was 2013, if I'm not mistaken, when they introduced ascended crafting, and you had people sitting on piles of silk, like literal piles of silk. They had like guild banks of them, alts of them, millions of them. And like it was that fucking vendor price. I remember in 2013, I was vendoring my silk, I was vendoring my leather, I was vendoring all of it. And then it rose, and some people became stupidly rich overnight with that. Dumb rich. And this is exactly what some people are trying to do right now with some of these dumb investments. You just buy the item that's stupidly cheap right now, but might get a use sometime in the future, probably in a different timeline we're not living in, but in the future.
Yeah, near future TM. Yep.
I mean, you just gotta hope sometime. But definitely, while there are some ways of investing, like putting your money in an item that you think has the potential to rise, or instead putting your money in an item that you know can't get any lower than it is currently.
Vendor value.
Vendor value, man. You can't go wrong if it's vendor value, man. What are you gonna do?
Too strong.
2 silver,
Everybody
50
should
per
draw.
stack? What are you losing, man? That's nothing.
if you want a good vendor value example that isn't like 20 copper, then you can look at refractors because their vendor value is 1 gold.
Yeah.
So trading post allows you to buy them at the lowest, I think it was gold and 70 silver, something like this. You can buy them lower than that because trading post doesn't allow such transaction.
Yeah.
But if you invest in that particular item, you're at the worst losing 70 silver per one. And we all know that this won't be the case. So this is basically a free investment. Even if it's a small amount of gold, because buying this is a pain in the ass, not gonna lie, I tried. Still, you will make money that way.
Yeah, I mean, we can feel the frustration in your voice when you say, I tried
I
buying
mean,
them.
it's from, I don't, rare table or
It is in the rare table, dude.
Yeah,
You wanna
exactly.
laugh? I dropped more polysaturating infusions this year than refractors. I
Yeah.
dropped 2 refractors, and both were teal. And I dropped 5 infusions, 3 gray, 1 red, 1 purple.
Let me see how many I have.
And I got
Those-
1 coffer only.
What
But-
coffer?
That's a yikes.
I mean, dude, I only opened
Oh,
20,000.
coffer.
I only opened 22,000 trick or treat bags, and they were free because I did them for the achievements on all of my accounts.
Yeah,
I didn't even collect any data for this year's freaking trick or treat bags. Like,
opening
oh god.
event bags is basically as if you want, you can easily throw your gold away if you want to open this box.
I mean, like that's the same with every box in the game. It's always throwing
Okay,
your gold.
I
away.
have around 700 refractors alone.
Wow, that's actually quite a lot, to be fair.
You want to
that
hear
decent?
something
Wouldn't bet
funny? I mean, I managed to buy only that many in the whole event. This is depressing. Really.
I mean, how often did you relist your buy order? Because that's something that I think the viewers should be interested into.
I mean,
Like, how often do you?
if I
refresh
had
your buy order?
a free day, it will be 4 or 5 times a day because no one was bidding me. When I was working 2 times a day, and still only that many people aren't getting this. So if I wait, I don't know, half a year, I will probably see three gold on them or something like this, and I don't mind it. It's free gold because even if they are trash value compared to other items, they will rise to a certain degree because they are rare, and people are using them for infusions, or simply they forget to take them out and they trash the exotics. This happens too.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna use I'm gonna make a very small break to inform everybody of what happened to MM. Apparently there was a slight issue in his building and a fire alarm. I think it was a fire alarm that went off. It's making so much noise that he can't speak on voice anymore. He's fine. He's safe. He has no problem. But there is a damn noise at his place, so he dropped the call.
I mean, it's a building alarm.
He might come back later.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he's gonna come back. Like, I don't know how long we're gonna go, because at some point I need to get some sleep, because I'm an old man and everything. But
Older man, oh boy.
I think with MM gone, I'm the oldest here.
IMM is pretty young. He's around my age, so you're
Wait,
fine
yeah, never
there.
mind. MM is younger than me. Yeah, sure. Okay, then I am the old man. I am the old man at this
Yes,
table.
you are. Let's just stay
Oh.
on this.
I think one other festive activity to be talking about is also Winter's Day, since that's
Definitely.
right around the corner.
Yes.
That is just 1 month away from now, and this is where, again, it is a good time to be.
Oh,
Seb, you should read chat.
Yeah, I mean, I saw I got an okay boomer at me. That's free. That's
freaking
free.
hell.
Thanks,
there
guys.
is only one thing I want to see in Winter's Day. New infusion, please. Because Halloween this year didn't give us one.
I mean, yeah, that's one.
They
thing
need to
that
hype.
I'm
They need to
looking
hype
forward
up
to.
Winter's Day somehow. Like they probably will add something new, whether it be a new infusion. They could add a new event, a new little mini game. Who knows?
I mean, the thing about
strike mission is there. We have a strike mission. Halloween didn't get one. I don't know why. They could easily make one, but
I mean, we like. Is there? You gotta think about it in Arnanet's terms, right? Like, you want to separate the content. Like, let's say you're working at Arnanet, you want to make content for everybody. PvP players, nah, they don't get content. War Super players, nah, they don't get content. PvE players, okay, give them a mini event, give them some sort of a mission, something where they need to put some effort, etc. Give them a jumping puzzle, and give them, I don't know, some other random shit, like a shitty vendor that you can give a lot of expensive items to, who's just gonna award you with a shitty title that reminds you somehow...
I mean, not sure what the hell?
Drubert, that somehow reminds you of a washed down version of the Festival of the Four Winds. Yes, that is Drubert.
I was thinking for a second that you meant I'm rich, you know, because that's basically...
That's also shit, yes, same garbage.
Pretty good goats.
But what I mean is that in Halloween we have Ascent to Madness, right? That's the dungeon. That's the hardcore part of Halloween. Just like the hard, what's his name again? Freezy, whatever his name was, is for winter. Right?
Yeah, Freezy.
That's the raid/dungeon. That's the part that's supposed to bring people together in order to tackle something as hard. What it needs to put is a decent reward for it. They need to make just that one specific part of the event worth it. And you won't make it worth it with a toy shell infusion, because that infusion is garbage. I'm only using it because it's cheap.
It's a good infusion. I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, come on. It makes me think of that small mannequin my dad had on his desk to learn how to draw people, you know, like the wooden thing that you just move the shit around. They even made it into a Tekken character at some point, that wooden garbage. Like, just, no. Like, what we need is a good infusion. Winter's Heart was good. Snow Diamond was great. It went for 2,000 gold on day one. That's how good that shit was. It is good. But we need good infusions like this.
Effect. Yeah, effect
something with an aura.
Oh, yeah.
Not a skin infusion. Like, we have enough infusions that are skin. We need infusions that have an aura. And if there is an infusion that has an aura and is dropped into that mission with Freezy, I can guarantee you that people will play that game mode. People will challenge Freezy. Even the casuals, open world people who are not even using Nike's build because they're too bad to check YouTube, they're going to play and try to beat Freezy. They're going to do it. And that's what we need. Because if people play that content, that means that people are going to be around every day. They're going to get their login rewards. They're going to do the orphan run. They're going to get a bunch of karma. They're going to buy materials with that karma. And they're going to pour more gold, more currencies, more material into the economy. And they're going to pay their taxes, which is very important. Pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes, yes.
Pay your taxes.
Screw those orphans, to be honest.
They're like... Like, you know what I mean. Like, if you want the event to be successful for the players, you need to put a good reward at the right place. And then, simply because people are gonna log in, they're not just gonna do Freezy, right? You won't log in, play 5 minutes and log out. You're gonna play at least 20 minutes, or you're gonna log on your other character, do an orphan rush for like 5 minutes, get your... I think it's 100,000 karma or some shit if you've got boosters on. Maybe 200k karma? 200k karma. It's a lot of karma. Like, I'm ready to do it. I'm gonna get my karma.
I'm not.
One time of the year I get karma. I don't play the rest of the year, so I'm getting my karma.
So the fact that the actual Winter Day event gives you access to that special. I mean, during I think you get it for doing the orphan event. You get access to a very special karma booster, the one that gives you like 10%.
The bowl, it's 50%. Yeah, it's the winter.
Like that's a permanent bonus. That's something really worth doing every single day. Because that's a unique buff.
Yeah. It is definitely something to work towards, and then once you actually have that, you have it also gives you an incentive to play other game modes, because now you get karma in raids, you get karma in fractals, so it's like you can log in, you can do Freezy, you can do your orphan run, and then you're gonna be like, oh shit, I have a karma buff, I'm gonna do a raid, I'm gonna do a fractal, and then you play the game modes, you get materials in, and That, in my opinion, is gonna make Winter's Day and an event. Wait, what? You're getting trolled, Souls. There is no music.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. You're getting trolled. Okay, jokes
Oh,
aside,
boy.
jokes aside, as I was saying, Winter's Day is like that one event where people are going to be playing because it's a long holiday that everybody has.
And it's a nice one.
It's a
I
nice
did really
one.
like one.
People are, what I mean. You're going to have a holiday IRL. Like I am taking days off for
Everyone
winter.
is.
Yeah, everybody does, because you're going to spend time with your family, which means that you're going to be bored by your uncle at the dinner table who's going to talk about politics for 6 hours. You're just going to go play Guild Wars 2 instead, right? And then all
Right.
these people playing Guild Wars 2 are going to participate in the economy, are going to bring stuff in, and that is going to create wealth for everybody. Especially on the
Especially
trade coast,
me.
especially for people who
Yes.
are readily looking at investments to make. For a lot of years, in Winter's Day, for instance, I looked at the Orphan Rush. People do the Orphan Rush. People get that karma. People spend the karma at the karma vendor. And I looked at what people were getting. I looked at what they were buying and selling. And I saw that cloth was getting sold a shit ton during Winter's Day. You could grab cotton, like back, I think it was back in 2016, where I made a lot of money on it. People sold cotton and linen at like a third of the regular normal year price. Dude, I bought an entire guild bank of it. I made so much cash.
Only
It was fucking
guild bank? Only? Oh.
Come on, I didn't have enough alt accounts to
Really?
store. I didn't have enough alt accounts, bro. Like sometimes
Oh my
space is
God.
the issue, right?
I
Like-
mean, for example, when it comes to Winter's Day, I have still listed not 3,000, 300,000 candy canes, and
Oh
I'm
my
still
God.
waiting. I hope they sell because this is getting tight in the day.
This is getting tight.
Yeah, okay, so let's actually pull up the BLTC on the candy canes right now.
Actually, that's something I should do
Right
for
now,
the
I
future
don't think-
podcasts. No, dude, like future podcasts, I should actually have a small BLTC corner on the screen so that people can see what we talk about in real time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a good idea.
That could be a good idea,
That'd
and
be
put the
good.
chat more to the side. Anyways, speaking about Winter's Day last year, speaking about candy canes, remember the candy cane weapons that had the super
I
sigil
do.
of the concentration one, super sigil of concentration, I think.
Concentration, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It destroyed the price.
Like
yeah.
it blew the price from 40 gold to 3
4.
gold.
Yeah.
It was mind
times.
blowing. And they
I mean-
All
recovered
it
to
takes
10
is
gold. They recovered to 10 gold. Dude, I made, I think, 10,000 on them. That was free money. Just like crafting the superior sigils of Mischief and superior rune of Snowfall, that
I'm
was
still
also
so-
some great profit. I still have some listed at 9 gold, and I know they're gonna
I mean,
sell.
do you remember the recipe for Mischiefs? Because I deeply do remember the recipe for Mischief.
It's
And-
super. It's the symbol of enhancement. That
So-
one spiked to 2 gold a piece, bro. 2 fucking gold a piece.
It's
I
symbol of what?
Symbol of enhancement, I believe.
Full of enhancement.
Yeah,
Yes,
I salvaged
and-
so
Okay,
many.
okay.
to get
Now,
them.
take a look. What the symbol is on sigil? Open your trading post and look at it.
I'm
and
not
tell me
even
what
playing
is
the
wrong.
game right now, dude. I'm role playing as
Okay,
the
I will
average
do
Guild Wars
this
2
for
player. I'm not in the game.
Okay. Okay. if you hover over it, it says element control. I can see a big fucking problem in here, and I'm still salty about this.
Oh, because yeah, like you need enhancement to craft it, but it salvages into control.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
You
I
got
want my
played.
money.
You got
I-
played.
I bought 2,000 fucking controls.
That's always why you wait until the event starts to make
Jesus.
your decisions. That's what I said into a video. I think like 2 weeks ago. Whenever a new event starts, rush to the vendor, look at the items, get knowledge. Information is going to be key at the start of an event to make instant profit. And whatever money you make at the start of the event is going to be your investment pool for the rest of the event. Right? day one of the event, you make 3,000 gold by being big brain and making the right calls.
Big
You
brain.
use this 3,000 on the next 3 weeks, 1,000 a week, and just look at items. You invest. You pick one, you invest. Week after, you pick
This is
another
part
one.
of
You keep going like this, and that way, you are actually gonna be making gold on the longer term. And at the same time, you're gathering the information because you're not investing everything right off the bat. You're giving yourself a week's time each time to look at how items are moving on a trading post. When is the supply coming in? When is it leaving? You're going to be putting your buy orders at a low price on the weekends because that's when people are going to be playing and dropping and selling. And you're going to think of how to best optimize your investments so that at the end of the event, you've got the right stuff in your guild bank and can be rich.
Seems like we have
This is
a
all
issue
parts of like a
with
TP
music.
Baron as well. Like these are all the key aspects of actually being like a real TP Baron is the fact that, like we're all gonna take a loss like every now and then. It's like while we'd all have a very very wide investment portfolio for these events, for these festivities, coming in or out of the festivity, like we could list something way too high. Like unfortunately Zener has here for a little bit where it's getting really really close to Wednesday right now. Like
Please,
he
let
wouldn't
them
have known.
sell.
Like
Let them sell, please.
like we wouldn't have known. Like this is basically part of it. Baron is you're gonna buy up a couple million of this thing. You're gonna list it for this price. Hope it sells. A lot of the time, it does sell. Like most of the times, looking at some trends, these things do sell. But you cannot predict the future, as Silver just said in chat. You cannot predict the future. You can only speculate.
Well, of
That's
course.
the risk you're ready to take.
Unless you had like some form of inside information, then yeah. But
Nobody has insider information. That's a
no,
lie.
of course
Nobody
not.
But
has.
if you do, I'm buying this, so you know where to find me.
Zana, don't say that. I mean, I am a partner. You know, I'm against this type of behavior, Zana.
You can't do that.
I'm gonna hit your fingers with my big ruler. Hmm?
No,
Yes.
no. I like
But-
informations more than gold, so
Yeah,
if you have anything
information is the
spicy,
important part, of course.
Information is key.
But like for the winter event, what I'm really looking forward to is whether or not they're going to be adding something. So as we said, I would really like to have a new infusion, to have it drop into the strike mission so that people are actually baited into playing it, so to speak. I mean,
Yeah,
what I
that's the correct
really,
term.
yeah, but what I really want is for something to shake the economy on day one. For someone at the internet to think, okay, I'm gonna put a new sink, or I'm gonna put a recipe that actually gives you a very good food that's gonna take these specific items out of the economy, or I'm gonna be introducing a new item, and in order to craft it, like a new skin or something, in order to craft it, you need to do collections, or you need specific other parts to be crafted, and that's going to take more materials out of the economy. What I really want to see is change, because that's going to be the bread maker on day one.
I really
then
hope they
the money you
do
make
something
there-
interesting.
You move on with it.
You know, sadly, this game has been as stale.
Do they have
Period.
Do they have an economy team anymore?
I actually don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Like, I mean, part of the... I don't know if that information is internal or not. So I don't know if I'm allowed to share this. No, that's the very awkward line where, like, you
You do. Go ahead.
I mean, I heard about it at the Ironet dinner. So, like, there were non-partners there. So I guess that information is, like, kind of middle ground. So I guess I can share it. The systems team, right? The people working on the rewards are also the people who are responsible for adding rewards and thus controlling the economy, so to speak.
Yeah,
So
more or
they
less.
don't exactly have an economy board. They have one person who has the job name of data analyst. That person has access to all the data within GW2.
Oh,
I don't know if
so
you've ever used Tableau as a software, but it is a way of building reportings based on databases. So you've got databases that are populated with everything the player base does, And then that information, you can analyze it, and with these analysis, you can make recommendations. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the job of the data analyst. And then you're going to have people in the rewards team, they're going to get information and take decisions. And I think that's enough for what I'm going to say, and that doesn't break any NDA, because I think Mike Z told me all of this when we were having beer in Cologne last year.
I mean, if that's true, then we can see why, for example, festival containers are so bad, because they are looking at the bigger picture and not individual picture. Because if player opens one and it didn't drop infusion for him, well, that's a loss for the player, but in overall math, it's not a bad number for the overall statistics. Yeah, it's when you are doing big data, you are adding up millions of units to the whole picture, and you see what it truly is. Basically, any data gathering is like this. You create many inputs to see the average. And I think they are doing just that, and that's why the individual drop rates are so bad, because they don't care about you as an individual, but rather as a whole community.
Which actually makes sense, because once again, I think it has been said a lot of times when talking about the economy, you are nothing in front of the entirety of the player base.
Yeah.
Like, I could corner a market, and tomorrow that market, through the rest of the player base, will get completely regulated. I tried. Yeah. I cornered specific items that didn't have supply for years. I pushed them to 100 times the price. Within 5 days, they went back to the bottom.
Yeah, you can't control anything in this game, because everyone is sitting on something. In Guild Bank, in the...
Oh, that reminds me of Superior Sigil of Generosity.
Oh, come on.
That sigil alone was worth like over 100 gold. Now look at it now.
If you want a good example of controlling the market, let's remind ourselves about the Mithril event, the Mystic Forge event that was once again introduced. Do you guys remember how
I do remember.
It broke.
Oh my god, that was
it broke all the walls. Like, the price rose. I think it went 200%.
Yeah,
went to 200%. It literally took out so much goddamn supply.
I think you know what was very funny is that I was at work when that shit started, because I was working a very long day, so I was still at work when it started. And then I got a text from a friend who said, "Sam, Mithril is at 110." And I was like, "Bro, like, ingots were always around 1 silver. What up?" He's like, "No, ore is at 110." And I was like, "What? What the fuck? How?"
Ingots were like 8 silver at one point, so...
Yeah, it was... Yeah, but like, when the event started, someone telling me ores are at 110, I was like, how? How do you get there? And then I saw that it was just a sink. And within, 2 days, boom, price back to normal.
Yeah.
Everything back to normal.
This is what's insane. We have such overproduction of everything in this game. But the thing is, not everything is brought back to the trading post, because people are consuming this. But when we have such spike, of course people will list it, because it's more profit that way. So price will regulate itself within days or weeks, no matter what.
I think that what's interesting also about all of that and the economy regulating itself and people generating too much is that previously, before all the currencies actually took off in Guild Wars 2, let's say using PvP tokens to get ascended armor, using War vs. War tickets to get ascended armor, using raid tokens to get ascended armor, etc. Before you could get ascended armor through all of that, you had to craft it. Crafting took materials out of the economy. Every day you had to craft your lump of mitrillium. That took 100 ingots, I think. Yes, it was 100 ingots, I'm pretty sure. So every day, let's say you farmed or you bought 2 stacks of mithril, you'd be using them for your daily crafts. And after 3 days, you'd be crafting a piece of gear, or just an insignia or an inscription, something. And that was actually very interesting because it regulated the economy. People generate items, items are used. Right now we have people generate items, items are stored. That's where
Sadly.
the problem lies. And you can't fix it as long as it is like that.
Yeah, we need new things, but they don't seem to like the idea of the thing because they aren't adding anything new to the game. They could easily
They add a
add things
massive
with
thing.
all the event.
They add a massive sink. It's really, really hard for the like we're talking like a massive, massive sink. If they add a massive sink to the game, it's really, really hard for the economy to actually recover from that. The example with Mithril was very precise. It was very static. It was just Mithril, nothing really else. Yeah, maybe Mithril ingots as well, because again, a handful of I think pretty sure Mithril ingots were actually also indirectly affected during the time. But it's like again, like we look at something like Four Winds. Literally, other than the fact that people either left the game because again layoffs, there a lot less people obviously playing at the point in time, but the economy itself just didn't recover. It just flat out just didn't recover from last year's Four Winds. Like there were not enough people, and obviously the fact that people knew that the boxes were a scam. It wasn't worth gambling. But look at the turnout: 140, 150 like Chak/confettis. Like barely even scratching 10, 20 for the period of the event.
It was depressing. I agree.
It was very, very sad. Like, look at that freaking Ecto wall. It's gonna be there for
Forever, basically.
No can do, man. Like that Ecto wall is just gonna stay there.
It's gonna sit there for a long time. Maybe, just maybe, the new episode will bring.
Yeah, but I mean, if Ironnet really wanted to regulate the economy and fix the prices and the items, they could very easily do so. And
Yeah.
I think, however, that is not a big like decision coming from the people like running the game, the people that are above the developers, above the managers, even like the people in the upper echelons. The thing, if you look at it from a very pragmatic standpoint, and I like to make very pragmatic standpoints, is right now you're an average player. You play the game, you get materials, you get gear, you get some gold, you get whatever. You're gonna store that in your bank. You're not gonna be making a lot of actual cash, actual gold coins, because events don't give much, raids don't give much, dungeons don't give much, fractals don't give much. PP and War vs. World, you're literally losing gold if you play these game modes.
I mean, raids kind of give a nice amount if you're selling them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you're not generating pure gold by yourself. You're getting materials, you store them, or you can sell them on the trading post. But your rate of pure gold acquisition is low. And that pure gold doesn't have that pure gold doesn't have much use as it is. What is being added into the game by the developers right now is gem store stuff. What they want you to do with the gem store stuff is to use a credit card, buy gems, and buy it, because that's going to put money into the game, and NCSoft will be happy with it.
Of course.
And if you can actually make gold in the game, a lot of it, a lot of pure cash, then you would be able to buy gems with gold. And then you would be able to get all the nice skins without paying with your credit card. And that's exactly, I think, like, it's not exactly, I think it's one of the intrinsic reasons why we are not having proper regulation of the economy. An economy where gold is weak is an economy where credit card is strong.
Sadly, yes.
So, obviously, they want that.
Well, that's the whole idea why they choose the material economy instead of the gold economy, because materials can't exactly buy you the gems while gold can. They did that on purpose, so you can get everything within the game by playing, but you can't exactly get gems by playing. It's a big brain if you think about this, but this is exactly what it is. They simply want your money, and we can't hide that fact because
It's a business. It makes sense. Like, I mean, if I go to the bakery at the corner of the street and be like, "Hey, dude, I walked to the bakery. Can I get my pain au chocolat now?" He's gonna look at me very funny and say, "Coin." Meaning, obviously, since it's French, it's gonna be "coin," like the ducks. But yeah, you get me. What I mean is that. Jesus. What I mean is that you're killing me in my energy right now. What I mean is that some of the decisions we see repercuted on the economy are coming directly from a decision from the management or the direction. And of course, I'm not saying that because I know it as a partner now. That's my own analysis of the state of the game. Is that whatever situation we're in right now could be avoided, but is maintained because it actually makes sense. And no, I'm not making pain au chocolat. That's too hard. I buy them.
Yeah, we understand.
Just like I don't make legendaries. That's too hard. I buy them.
I mean, legendaries require networking.
Yeah.
If you have a good
Grab
network,
things, perhaps in
it's
between.
easy.
Yeah, but like this all takes us back to like everything we were saying at the start is that in Guild Wars 2 there is no middle class. You either are at the bottom with not much cash, some materials, no knowledge, or you somehow rose up from there, got to the point where you have gold, knowledge, and investments. And when you're at that point, nothing can stop you because you always have something to fall back onto. Like if tomorrow gold had 0 value, my wallet gold would become useless. Good thing for me, I only have, I think, 23,000 that I keep as a raid check in case I need to make an investment. That's always some cash you need to have on hand to make an investment if something good comes up. But if that gold becomes meaningless tomorrow and suddenly materials are the one thing people use to trade outside of the trading post because gold has no meaning, then I can always exchange some of the stuff I have for that. And that's what you want to look into. In an economy where gold either has a lot of value or no value at all, just you need to have something else to fall back onto. And that's why investing during events makes a lot of sense. Because let's say tomorrow it is Winter's Day. You get to buy an expensive infusion for half the price it is during the rest of the year. Okay, today you shelled out 200 gold, 300 gold, 400 gold, but you bought it. You have that one item. You store it. It's here, it's yours. Then in a few months, you haven't played much, you haven't generated much gold. Your wallet hasn't exactly changed, but the item, it's worth more. You're still gonna need to play the game for the same amount of hours to get the gold that you spent originally for it. But you can also sell it for twice that amount. And that didn't take you twice the time to make that gold. That's what I'm saying. You invest.
Put the time in.
Yeah, you invest because time has a value of its own, and you have no idea what your gold is going to be worth later. Today, with 100 gold, I can buy a stack of tier 6 material of my choice. None of them is worth more than 100 gold. So I can buy them for 100 gold, store them away, and maybe in 3 months, something is going to change. We're going to have less and less players generating these materials. And the price is going to go up because less people put them on the trading post. It's still going to take me, I don't know, 2 days to farm that gold, that 100 gold playing silver waste, but it's going to have less value, right? Because my materials are going to be worth more than they were before. Do you get what I mean or not?
Yeah.
I mean,
we
you two on voice obviously should, but like the people watching,
hoping people in chat.
I'm hoping that people in chat understand it. It's like there is a time value to money, and what you can buy today is not what you can buy tomorrow. Same amount, same time to farm that amount, but less buying power, different buying power. It is very complicated.
Yeah, it's not exactly something we can talk through in 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is the first podcast and we're already talking about
There's more information, but yeah, no, I should definitely do more of these things. Definitely more of these podcasts.
Like, I mean, it's a good format.
We need more.
Yes.
No more.
Oh Jesus, we just got hosted by Tea Time. Fuck that shit, man. Oh my god.
Oh no.
Jesus. Oh well. Hello to all the people coming from Mighty Teapot. This is like the washed down cheap version of Tea Time, where we actually talk about the non-existent economy. Nah, just kidding.
In this game, yeah.
We were actually having a pretty good conversation right there.
I mean, this will be uploaded to YouTube.
I mean, yeah, this is going to be on YouTube anyway, so that everything from before.
Which is good because that's where the core audience will be the YouTube videos, so everyone can actually rewind, double check. I mean, other than the fact that this, assuming you have your videos clipped and saved on Twitch, by the way, Sam.
What?
But don't you have your videos recorded on Twitch as well?
Yeah, I do.
So people can obviously check back on this as well. But again, Winter's Day is coming around the corner. It's literally a month from now. People are going to try and look at some investments to get in. There are some very, very basic things. Winter's Day gifts is the simplest of them all. Winter's Day gifts is probably the most simplest thing that people can just invest in because, like, again, I'll pull up the BLT site for Winter's Day gifts. Usually they're about maybe just over 10 silver or something. They'll drop to about 5 silver, 6 silver.
Yeah,
very similar to how trick-or-treat bags though. Like they always have a trend of dropping down to a very certain price before they pretty much stay at that price during the event, and then it just slowly kind of goes back up. Trick-or-treat bags is a really, really good example of like an investment. Something again, not really doesn't require you to have 200 IQ. Put in a couple hundred gold if you're someone with a high liquid gold. Put in a couple thousand gold into these trick-or-treat bags. You'll be making a pretty solid profit. You don't need to do anything. Just buy up a bunch, sell it all later.
You meant Winter's Day gifts,
Batwing.
not trick-or-treat bags, no?
Yeah, he's lost in.
As an example, I'm using trick-or-treat bags as an example. So trick-or-treat bags, they were about 10 silver, 11 silver before the event. How many were actually selling? Yeah,
that's
you
the
can
problem.
Look at the
I
BLT.
don't think they sell nearly fast enough for them to represent a good investment.
That's correct.
Sadly.
That's also one of the things that is rather interesting. Is earlier we were talking about some tips and tricks that made their way into people's minds, and actually people use them so much that they don't work anymore. When you tell someone, okay, go to the forge, combine these items, you'll get an item, you sell it, you make profit. When you tell that to somebody, he's going to do it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Then he's going to be bored and he's going to stop doing it. But if you tell somebody, hey, take 200 gold, buy Winter's Day gifts, you're going to be rich in 6 months. People do that because it's zero effort. It's zero effort. So people do it, so everybody's doing it, and then it doesn't work anymore. That's what I mean.
The thing is, having your assets locked in for like this is where kind of Zener was talking about. Yeah, this is where Zener said it's not worth having such a small investment locked in for what could take possible months. Like you could be spending that couple hundred gold on better items. Where, like, again, something like Winter's Day gifts, trick-or-treat bags, you probably want to do this in a more higher quantity to be able to get like a better profit, better value ROI. You're like that. Otherwise, the 300 gold you could be spending freaking just flipping items instead of waiting to do a long-term investment.
You can refine mithril for more profit. Like really,
it's simple as that.
Just do it for 2 months and you will get more than in these 6 with the boxes from Halloween. Or
once again, we're talking about time value of money. Like, what could you do with that money in the meantime? And that's also a very interesting thing. Let's say that every day, I start the day, I buy 200 gold of materials, I craft, and I sell what I have crafted for 300 gold. But every day, I only buy 200 gold of materials, because even if I bought more, I wouldn't be able to process more. It would take me so much time. I don't want to sit in front of my computer for that long. I'm going to sit for like 45 minutes, refine my 200 gold, sell, get my 300 gold after taxes. And then the extra gold piles up. So I'm going to diversify, right? I'm going to take 200 other gold, and I'm going to flip while I craft for my items, right? And then at some point, I'm just gonna reach the point where all of the time I have is being used optimally, and that's the moment where you start wanting to invest.
Yeah,
you can also just be investing
access of gold.
because you hate flipping and crafting and you don't have time.
Hey, flipping is nice.
I mean, flipping
Come
is
on.
nice, sure, but you know, sometimes I just get home in the evening. I just want to like eat some food,
There's
play raids.
There's a very, very wide amount of items you can be flipping as well. Like
Yeah,
Just few
so many different
thousands.
items, and again, that just comes down to how often you can be at your computer, checking these listings, really having to relist them, and how much gold you have by doing it by the quantity as well.
Yeah.
Zener, you just got an advertisement in chat. You who were complaining about everybody else getting advertised. Finally, it's your turn.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah, man, it happened. See, everybody gets advertised today. It's free.
And
But
just as Jace Vicky said in chat, flipping is just pocket change. So yes, like it's definitely pocket change for a fair amount of people, perhaps. But you can do it as little as 50 gold, and you could
Yeah.
just throw like literally 80%, 90% of your gold into doing flipping. But yeah, for a lot of people, it is just pocket change.
But like
Well-
that's exactly what I am saying, right? It's you can do it at any point, but there is some moment where you're gonna reach like critical value. You can make week-long flips, you can make month-long flips, you can just do all the flips, do all the crafting, etc. But you're gonna reach some point where you have that gold sitting around doing nothing. And once again,
Sadly.
time value of gold. That gold sitting around doing nothing should be invested.
Yeah,
Even
you
if
need
it's
to
something that
expand.
only goes 10% up, it's still going to be better than keeping 1,000 gold in your wallet doing nothing. If it collects dust, it's useless. You don't do that. Except if you want to keep, of course, a minimum amount in case of an urgent investment or like savings or rain check or something. That's also something that is important to do. But still, you should always be thinking about what to do with your gold instead of just letting it be here. Because someday you're going to want to buy a skin. And if on that day you want to buy your skin, you actually have enough gold to buy it and still have gold to keep making more gold, then you're doing it right. And everything is fine. And to just answer the chat from here, somebody asked the question to us, how can I trust your investment suggestions when it could just as well be you playing me for your own personal gain?
Oh, the good old dilemma. Should I
and-
trust these people? Hmm?
Of course, I'm just gonna say it very honestly. Everything I invest in is something I believe in, right? The only thing that's a difference is that I bought more than you and before you. That means cheaper than you. But if I'm
That's the
saying
key
that
point,
this
yeah.
item that I bought at 10 gold, I can sell it at 20 gold in 6 months. If you buy it at 15 gold, you can also sell it at 20 gold in 6 months. And that's where it matters. It's whether or not you have the capacity to go to guildwars2bltc.com, free advertisement. We're not sponsored. Go to that website, look at the item, look at the graphs, look at how the price changes. And once you have gathered that information, you're going to be able to say, okay, he is right. That item is moving. That item is gaining value. And I can buy it up to this price and still make profit. And at that price, it's not going to be interesting anymore. But as long as you do all that research, do all the thinking, and get there, you're fine. And whatever I am saying is actually the truth for you as well. So it's not about playing
yourself
somebody
as
else, it's
well.
about giving you the tip
Like
and then you confirm it.
important to
Sauce?
do your own research as well, like across all markets, festive activities, everything across the whole year, everything that ANET throws, including any new potential events that could come. The first thing you want to do, check NPC, check what's going to be, what items they put out into the game. Like information is the key to all this as well.
Interestingly enough, somebody other asked a question right now. It was Somnus asking, what would you suggest someone do with their gold or materials if they take a year-long break? It's actually very interesting because they suggested converting to gems. We were saying earlier that gems are one of the things that people want, right? Because you want the skins, and the new skins are in the gem store, as Inks would say, in the gem store. But what's really important to see here is that the gem value isn't gonna change. Like, and
It
gem to
only
gold,
go higher.
gem to gold isn't really gonna fluctuate good enough for you to make something happen. The only time where gems actually have a good breakthrough is like big sales. I think Thanksgiving has one. Otherwise, it's the anniversary of Guild Wars 2. That is also a
Yeah.
very good one.
Mhm.
It's when Black Lion Black Lion keys, get discounted, and when some very good skins come back. When that happens, you actually have a window where gem to gold is good enough if you had the gems before. Other than that, you should just buy items that you are sure are going to retain value in the long term. A skin that just got re-released, for example, is usually a good pick because skins take 6 to 18 months before coming back, generally. That's an average I've seen from the research I've done. And if you go for the skins...
Answer that one guy in chat saying, what would you suggest someone to do with their gold mats if they take a year-long break?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
convert-
They should buy stuff that's gonna last. That's
But
what
the
I
thing
was
is, like,
going to.
converting to gems is really, like, it doesn't require you to constantly check the gem market every now and then, but you do want to, like, it's kind of on and off, because again, it goes up when ANET release either like templates or something, or I don't know.
Yeah.
When templates got released, gem is pretty damn hard. Like when ANET release like something that people want back, that's when gems are going to come pretty much rise back up in price, and then they'll actually dip again. But it's not something you can just pretty much lodge all your gold into, because again, you could come back when they're worse than what they were before. So you kind of need to be there when, again, ANET either release like part of a festivity event or something in order for you to actually make a profit on that gem investment.
Well, that's exactly what we were getting to. It's if you want to go for something safe and something that's going to work in the long term, you need to do your research. Going for gems will take you effort to look at when it's worth it. You're not going to do good with that. There were some other questions. Insider information like stabilizing matrices actually being valuable. I mean, let's not talk about insider info. It's something I really don't like. No, like, really, it's something I hate. When people do that, that kind of bullshit, when you know for sure that the price is going to go up, and then you see people doing it and you're like, bro, why? Like, why? Just, are these pixels worth your integrity? Come on. Like, don't do that. Other questions we had. You can buy seven Winter's Heart Infusions. Nah, don't do that. Like, they don't rise enough.
Buy,
They
it's
don't
a
rise
good
enough.
idea.
Zener, don't play these
At
people.
that
They're
point-
gullible.
At that point, you're buying into some individual's personal gain. At that point,
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, like right there, you're playing yourself more than you're playing the market. Just saying. Next question: is Cellofrag more rich than MM? Excellent question.
No.
because I have his efficiency.
The efficiency, yeah, MM is better on efficiency, but the overall value generated and used over the last year, I think Cello wins.
I mean, is it really generated if we talk about Cell?
I mean,
Because he isn't exactly generating the gold. At least not in our means. He's cheating the
In
system.
these times,
I mean, yeah. It's just if you look at how much gold went through their wallet in that time as pure profit, not like as recouping a previous investment, then I think Seller wins. If it's pure gold that went through the wallet, MM wins. It really depends what you set as a benchmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall,
what else do we
see-
have? Is Silfrag the richest player in the game? No. You can't invest for a year, it will come back and go. Pretty much what Jack said. Investing into Blackline skins is the biggest thing I have done. What is the next step? That's already a pretty good step. Keep going. So is RMT. It is easy to buy rich with credit card. That's not RMT though. It's like buying through the normal.
it is RMT, but it's the only RMT allowed. That is
Okay,
the
yeah,
only real money transaction done because it's in hands with ANET.
Yeah, I mean that's Yeah, that's good actually. I mean, buying gems from ANET is you use real money, but it's the official one, so it's okay.
That's
Olaf, yeah, Nightmare made 100,000 gold on the rune patch with insider info. There is also an interesting thing about that, right? It's that when that rune patch happened, some people had info beforehand, some people didn't, but a lot of stuff fluctuated at the moment the patch hit. There wasn't that many movements before it, unless it was people investing in runes previously. Like I had a guild bank entirely filled with various types of runes because I was like, okay, something is going to happen to them. I need to have them on hand, which is why I bought into them. And then there was what Snowcrows posted on the website, and the fact that they used that Donbass Centaur rune everywhere because Impact was bugged made Centaur so stupidly expensive, and everybody who bought Centaur runes who didn't make it as an investment on like day one is a dumbass. And you need to get your brain checked. That's it for me.
Yes, I thought it was funny what the whole Superior Sigil of Centaur slayed was the fact that a lot of people saw it because okay, so rigging up Snowcrows here for a little bit, but specifically the website had it as just a default sigil because literally like they just use a default like just like okay, we'll just use this sigil, and everyone thought that this has to be the best sigil that people are using right now, and everyone just freaking bought into it. Like it was so dumb. They literally just used a default sigil just on their templates. Like it didn't even mean like this was going to be like the best sigil or anything. It was just a default sigil at the period of time, and that just shot up in price ridiculously.
People are stupid. You can.
No, Agla, you weren't the only one. You were definitely not the only one there.
What Jack said in the chat is actually pretty interesting. When he said you always need to come back every month or so to check the value of what you
Food
have.
IQ was going to use for their raid guides. Yeah, that's definitely another thing I think as well.
Like that's actually important though. What Jack said, like checking every month or so if your investments are good to be sold. Just make a spreadsheet, right? Put the price at which you bought them, and then you just open Excel, press refresh, look at the prices and be like, okay, do I log in or not? You don't even need to log in. You can even look at that kind of file on your phone. Like I have a spreadsheet that I can refresh on my phone that tells me should I log in to sell stuff. And there are days where I don't log in. Well, I just log in for the login rewards. I don't link for the trading post or anything. Like, that's it. Like you don't need to actually manage everything within the game. And that's one thing that's very interesting with the Guild Wars 2 API is that you have so much stuff you can do outside of the game. How many people do you think have 300k plus liquid but don't say a word about it? What do you think about that one, guys?
I think there's definitely a handful of people that have the kind of liquid gold in the game and just like to keep it like underneath the radar because again, like I mean, the last thing you like, anyway, it kind of depends on how you like. Either you can be like an attention whore, like a few individuals, or
not naming.
or you can be a few individuals that just want to hide underneath the radar, like be unsuspected. Because again, if you're someone unsuspected of having a very wealthy account, whether it be information or just being able to just invest, yeah, no, like that's. I think it's perfectly fine. I definitely think there's a handful of people out there that have the potential in their account value.
You can see few.
There's definitely some people
like
out there that are very wealthy.
Reddit. I have been scouting for people that are wealthy and know things about trading posts, so you can.
Zener
find...
scouted me into the freaking into the potato server. Like he's one that came like he came to me.
You don't count. You are below that amount. Basically, you can at least find two people like this on Reddit alone, on the main Reddit. I believe one is named Kogima. I believe that's how we pronounce it. And another one would be Sukton. You probably know these names because they publish
the
drop rates.
The drop rates, yeah.
Yeah. So I believe these two, for example, in the Screed server economy Discord, probably a few too, but they don't speak at all and you won't make any contact with these people. They are just perma-lurking. So, yeah, I believe so. We have at least 10 or 15 people like this hiding into the game, and they don't speak at all. And of course, you have something like there's a German guild. They are kinda hidden, kinda not. I found them, so I would say they are not that hidden. But still, I heard they have a lot of liquid. And this is a guild basically made of 15 members or so. They are investing on one account, so it's just pure liquid power. They're buying things in masses and waiting more to sell. So yeah, I believe we have people like this hidden in the shadows.
Definitely. Like, I think that a lot of people also have that kind of wealth where they just don't need to talk about it. Like, you just do your stuff, you just invest, you just keep making money, and then at some point you realize that you're just sitting on a pile of stuff, and then what, right? You can just keep buying stuff. You don't need to scream it everywhere, hey, I'm rich, you know? You can just keep buying. Like, I mean, there are a lot of people who also buy and sell infusions who are never going to come up and say, hey, I have a big ass account value on efficiency. But they're going to be the people who have maybe 10 check XX. And that's big money value. Yeah. What you gonna do? What can you do about people like that? Just people going about doing their own thing and being rich from that.
Every time you see a price point on an item in the game, let's say exotic weapon, the price point is there for a reason. Someone is buying and someone is selling. If you can understand why, you can see a lot better what is happening. It goes basically to every item in the game, be it exclusive that is high value, infusion, or simply a material, just like refining mithril. You can easily do everything just in the shadows without making a noise because people don't pay attention to these details.
And yeah, interestingly enough, somebody just said in the chat, I can't pronounce that. TP flipping and economy stuff is like finding an epic minigame tucked into a larger game. That's literally yeah. That's exactly why we're here today, making this first
I log into
episode.
The game to open trading posts. So
I mean, I do the same. Like, the economy is what I think was developed the best way into Guild Wars 2. You have a huge market, interconnected across regions, where everybody can play. You have a strong API that allows you to see everything that's happening outside of the game. There's so much to do, so much to learn, so many skills to develop. I have the job I have today because I played the TP in Guild Wars 2. That's it. I mean, I work finance. All my Excel skills I got from doing API stuff in Guild Wars 2. That's it. So, indeed, it is a great minigame, and that's the reason why we're all here today, and we've discussed the state of the economy, we've discussed events, we've discussed investing, gold-making ways, a lot of stuff. This was in no way or shape an advertisement for any of our guilds or structures or Discord servers or whatever, or even our channels. We just got together to talk about what we enjoy in this game. I think this is a sentiment we share with the two other speakers here now that MM has been taken away from us.
Sadly, best
Good
boy
man.
left.
Yeah,
We miss him.
best boy.
Yeah, I mean, I miss him. Like, he had so many very good points, and he was directing the conversation very well at the start. Yeah.
What we can do. Alarm is something you can't ignore, so
Definitely. Sorry, what did you say about anything about it?
By the way, that question. So really, when I assume I know nothing about economy, no real life knowledge, no in-game knowledge, I always make more in-game money in any game just by grinding. What kind of grinding? Like, there's lots of different things you can grind.
Accounts?
Probably farming like silver waste or something. I think
You
that's
got
what they mean by
star.
grinding.
I mean, the star not anymore, but silver waste. You got fractal farming you can do.
What?
Lots of
Fractal
different
farming?
grind.
Who does that? Jesus, it
Yeah.
requires people to
TV.
do. God damn it, man.
Dragonfall Farm. I almost forgot about that.
I
to
mean,
be honest.
best farm in the game is if we talk solo, you can join anytime and do it just like you are. It's around 40 gold per hour, and at times when patches are here, they are fresh and new, you can get more by simply refining the fucking material. Just this. So it's not
By the way,
really
Focus
hard.
1H.
What?
Sorry, go on. I'm just going to answer it. Focus 1H. What's a good website for checking TP history? Guild Wars 2 BLTC.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
best one we have currently,
one.
at least. Because
Silver linked it in chat.
yeah, silver is working
Thank you
for his, but
for linking in the chat, guys. You're doing better work in the chat than I am, and I'm very thankful for it. Like, I have to do that with my left hand because my laptop is on the side and my keyboard is too noisy.
Once again, going back to the question, if you want to trade and earn more than farming, this is a long-term investment. You are gonna spend, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 months, depending how fast do you learn, and you will spend that time learning, not earning the money. But after that time, you will simply out-farm the farm. That's how it is. You want to learn the things overnight, because that's not how it works. We are not here because we yesterday decided to learn the trading post. We are here because we are doing this for basically a living in the game. So
for a living in the game, that sounds so weird to say, to be fair.
But that's how it is. No, I play only that, so the game has no value for me whatsoever.
You should go World v World sometime.
It's boring.
Content.
It's boring. It require me to play in the game.
Be not random player, do everything. Play the TP, play PvP competitively.
You can play the
go kill people
while in War vs. War. That's how Wanze plays, and I learned a lot about the economy from Wanze. Actually, when I started learning about the economy, I learned from Wanze and Vol. Vol was that one guy who farmed like a madman, knew all the good farming spot, and Wanze was the guy who did all the flipping and investing stuff. And if you combine both of the knowledge, you know how much gold people make when farming, what they farm, and where. So you know what is supplied, and once they move on to the next farm, you also know what's not supplied anymore.
I mean, we have nice sheets in farming even now, because certain individuals created them. They were shared on Reddit and on Discords, so you have access to that information. It's easier than currently to
get the knowledge.
Gold.
Before it was on the Guild Wars 2 forums, and man, the amount of times the topics got deleted.
Go. Yeah.
Silver.
Yeah, the meme.
I mean, if you were to ask me what's like the best thing to farm, like if you just want to make standard gold, like nothing to do with the trading post, nothing to do with that. I'd honestly probably say as like a general, just all-round year, something that isn't really affected by like festivity events or anything, Fractal Farm. I think having a static group, having a good, like, competent players, I think Fractal Farm honestly is the best. For making gold, you get a bunch of other resources as well. You get a fair amount of karma. You get fractal relics. No, it's really good. This is all great stuff to have as well.
Like, just to answer the question in the chat about selling the gold and buying gold, you don't do that. That's banned. None of us here would buy or sell gold, because we know how to make a difference, right? Like we enjoy the game and making our gold in there, and we all can work IRL to make money IRL. And separating both of it is good.
Oh, someone mentioned Fractal Farm with alt accounts. Oh boy. But this isn't your simple farming. This is advanced farming that not everyone can do.
Yeah, this is advanced farming.
It literally requires you to have alt accounts, and this costs money, and not everyone can afford that.
Oh, Jesus.
46,
Silver?
I believe, is a Ether Blade. I think. Sure, 46 is the Ether Blade. I might be wrong there. It's either Ether Blade or Megatron, or it could be Thormanova.
Sam,
It's
what do
very
you say?
interesting.
Next time we get silver in here.
Yeah, we should definitely get Silver in here. Silver was the first person I ever
Yes.
made a
I made
podcast with. Like he was my first bro to ever make it on a YouTube video with me. So we should definitely bring Silver in. And like actually that's very interesting because Silver just mentioned the Egg Baron promotion spreadsheet.
Oh
That was
boy,
like the
that's all.
first spreadsheet that actually told you what you should put in the forge for profit. That's like the
Yep.
start of everything. And that's also what I meant by we have a game where the economy is very well built and where the API allows you to have access to the knowledge. Just all of this is available to you. Like you can learn a lot from playing the economy, both in terms of understanding the game, understanding the people, understanding psychology and how people are attracted to gold, to fluff. All of that you can understand, but you can also develop some critical real life skills that are going to be useful to you to get a job, to get a promotion, to get somewhere further in life. It is great.
Critical
I'm
thinking
advertising
is-
real life a lot because real life is the best game, and it's not dead.
It does connect. I can see
Yeah,
this
it does.
by my example, for that matter. I
Definitely.
see that thinking about not me as individual, but as the bigger picture. I really like this term because it does help with thinking. Because if you take everything into consideration when looking at something, it's a whole new world basically, and it also comes in handy in the real life.
We're in the chat right now.
Yeah, the
IRL,
chat
that's
is
wow.
going very. I mean,
I
IRL
love
is the
that.
best part, but that means that's actually true though. IRL is indeed the best part.
IRL the dead game. Screw that.
I mean, man, like every hour I work IRL, I generate enough real life money to buy more gems to gold than I would make by flipping in that time frame.
Of course, but it's boring.
I kind
want
of
to-
like my job, but I
Zana
wouldn't,
here sees
I wouldn't
things
do an
differently.
extra hour. I wouldn't do an extra
What?
hour. I'd rather go home and
Cheating.
play games.
I could hear you. Repeat, please.
Zana thinks it's cheating using IRL.
Well, of
It's
course,
very
because
different.
it's cheating. You either use everything that game offers you, or you cheat by using real money. That's not fun. Come on, man.
It's like look at the people who buy raids. They can get 20,000 gold per week.
Jesus, the worst kind of people.
Leave
really.
the raid buyers alone.
No
Raid buyers
literal
are.
scum.
I don't condone the behavior of buying raids. I completely agree to selling raids because that's you being skillful and selling your skill to somebody else, just like somebody having a trade job IRL does by selling his skill. But Jesus, people buying it like, this is a game. Come on, man.
Yeah,
you can
like,
just kill
enjoy
VG
the game.
yourself.
Buying.
Like, I
Keep
mean,
buying.
they-
You can buy raid.
you know, like
keep buying.
I'm so cheap that I repair my shoes myself, IRL. Okay, like I would never buy a raid because that
Come on.
concept is foreign to me. I can't.
Imagine playing the game just to not play the game. This is basically a raid buy. Like, come on.
You should
don't
buy
do
my
this.
raid.
No.
We
Don't
said
do
no
that.
advertisements on these streams, or you have to sponsor
Yeah.
us, and we're
Wait,
not
wait, wait.
cheap, souls. We're not cheap.
Souls right selling isn't cheap too, just so we know.
But like, yeah, when it comes to like raid buying, I just don't approve of raid buyers. But once again, that's very interesting. Like there are so many ways to make gold. Some of them are reliant on your skills. It's just like people doing jumping puzzles and portaling others get a tip. You know, right? Whatever thing
No.
you're good at the game,
I don't
do
think.
it and make something out of it.
I mean, I don't play the game, so I can't tip. So.
I mean, playing the trading post is playing the game. We're all
Yeah,
playing.
I agree. I have to
Role
log
playing.
in. I wish I could access the trading post from the browser, but I cannot. Sadly.
But yeah, like I think we've gone like full cycle around everything for this first episode. This is great. I'm really satisfied with what we've been doing.
it's pretty. It's been really good.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
solid
it's
amount
been
of time,
2
solid
hours
amount
and
of
a half.
information.
I'm kind of tempted to try and end it around here, to be fair. Like,
I would agree because someone is telling me to just end it
Yeah, I mean,
because he wants my time.
yeah, I mean,
So, yeah.
I'm a bit tired, and I think it's about time to like settle for today. Like, Souls, the day is just starting for you, but for us,
The day is just starting
it's
for me.
1
It is
a.m.
very-
man. It's 1 fucking a.m. for us.
It is a nice 11 a.m. for me right now. So
Yeah, like, I mean, the birds are chirping for you, but for me, they're asleep outside. And yeah, it's close to reset as well, so it's time for all of you to go enjoy the wondrous reset in Guild Wars 2.
3 mystic
that
coins.
in 7 hours and a half, I think it's in 7 hours and a half, raids reset.
Oh, it's Monday.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm actually tempted to stream raid reset actually.
I'm actually tempted
Yeah, raid
to skip
reset.
the raid.
But you skip the raids every week. You don't count, Zener.
That's the point.
Oh my god. Anyways, I think we can wrap it up with this. Like, we've talked about a lot of stuff that you will be able to find on YouTube, because this will get posted on YouTube full. I'm just maybe going to trim the start a little bit because we're just verifying that everything was working fine. But I think that the full episode will make its way onto YouTube. We had a long discussion about the state of the economy, the state of events, what happened this year compared to the previous one, what to look at into the future, and we also held a form of a Q&A session at the end because the chat became
that's nice,
way
yeah.
more lively, and that was very nice, as Zener just said. So I think that I just summed up the stream pretty decently. And before we end, I'd like everybody present, so sorry MM who had an issue and had to leave. So everybody who is still there, can you like say one last word about yourself, present what you do, advertise yourself, chill out a bit, whatever. This is your corner, go for it.
Okay, I'm
I've
selling.
already did my advertising.
I'm selling trading point lessons. Take 10k a person. Come, please. I'm starving for gold.
Bro, I said advertise yourself, not beg on the streets.
No,
Come
I'm
on.
kidding.
I think.
I'm
I
not
think
selling
that best, I think, in
lessons.
my opinion, best thing for people to do if people want to try and make as much gold as they can, selling items. If you want to dodge part of the trading post tax, use the Global Stock Exchange. That is my opinion
was
to the
beautiful.
people. Is
Wow,
Find
evading the
find
taxes.
someone.
No.
buyer, seller. You can check the history. It's very easy to tell. You can dodge a pretty nice amount of tax depending on what you guys come to an agreement with.
So,
'Cause
so we are
tax is a freaking
saying.
lot.
So we are saying that you are offering a one-time special deal for all current viewers currently, yeah?
Oh, I'm just saying that's the place to use if people want to trade stuff.
Definitely. I mean, I am also a mod there, and definitely it's the best place if you want to do your trades, because we take the
Yeah,
job
one's
very
there.
seriously. As you saw recently with that person who bought a Czech exac and got shafted by ArenaNet because they took it away and the gold away, we actually care about asking the people who are in this kind of situation what happened and trace it all back to where it started. So now that Zener has explained that he gives trading post lessons, I'm actually going to add a little bit of shield on top of it. His YouTube link has been dropped twice so far in the chat, and it's going to also be added in the description of the YouTube video, because his flipping guides are the best I have ever seen. He shows all the methods, explains it very thoroughly, and anybody can get started with it simply by watching his videos. When it comes to Soul, I'm also going to be adding a little bit on top of it, because he omitted the fact that he is also a streamer. He plays the game quite a fair bit. Of course, he sells raids, but we'll forgive that part. He's really... I'm sorry, man. He's really a cool fella, so if you can give him a follow on Twitch, that would be very nice of you. And I think that with this, we've covered what the two of you do. The Teepee Guild, that is represented by MM on this side of the screen and Souls on this side of the screen, should also get a little bit of a shout out, because ever since the Wooden Potatoes video, they have brought a lot of people in onto their server, and they are imparting quality knowledge. They have a lot of classes directly on that Discord, and people can learn a lot of stuff about the economy there without necessarily having a lot of knowledge prior to it. So really, if you are looking for good knowledge given by a good teacher who uses a lot of real-life comparisons, head over to their Discord and listen to Zushin, however you pronounce it. I'm sorry, I forgot again. Zushin. Souls, help me.
It's Zush.
Yeah, you said it right.
Oh god, you didn't say anything! I felt I was lost.
No,
anyways.
It's Zushin.
Okay, Zushin. Okay, we're good. Great. It's like definitely all of these places to learn stuff are great. Head over to Zener's, look around on Soul's server, get on Guilds to Exchange if you got stuff to sell. Go to the TP Discord or the Overflow Discord to learn stuff about the economy. And for my part now, because it's my turn to shield, we're already on my channel, so that's very easy. Please follow. I need follows. Please sub. I also need subs. Just kidding. Just kidding. I don't need anything. But what I would need is for you guys to tell me if you enjoyed this first stream. You can do so in the YouTube video once it's up, because we want to make it happen more often. We have a lot of guests that can still come onto this stream. We have a lot of people who can bring ideas, but you as a viewer can also bring ideas. You might have questions. You might have some stuff you would like to get a second opinion on. You might have some stuff that someone told you and you're not even sure if it is right or not, and you're starting to doubt everything. Anything you have, please talk about it in the comment section, because what you give us is going to be material for the future episodes of this podcast. And that's the real value that you can bring in order to make it an even better show that will then be served back to you. And now I wish every single one of you some happy trading and to get rich. No? Yes?
Yes.
No, like I guess this marks the end of the stream.
That's what I think we'll call it here now. It's getting late, and I'm gonna go get some food.
Late for you?
Late for
What?
I mean, yeah, it's time for breakfast. Shut up.
Well, not late for me. No way. No.
Yeah, it's early for you.
Honestly, my day is just beginning.
Yeah, just get breakfast, man. This podcast, I don't know how often it's gonna happen. I'd say once a month would actually be good, because it's not like we can do it weekly. We might not have enough material, but once a month would be pretty cool if you guys are cool with that. Big silence. Hell.
I think once a month is doable. We just need to find the content to actually be talking about.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Once
We
a
need
month, I
content.
definitely think is good.
I mean, we can
Because
cover...
if we cover everything in a whole year,
No.
I mean, we covered like 3 months in one video,
Covered a
in
lot
one
of stuff.
installment. Yeah,
a lot of different stuff.
yeah. Once every month or 2 months sounds about correct if we want to have content. But we can also just make like shorter ones and talk about very specific stuff here and there. Make it a 1 hour session. This one was very long, 2 hours and a half, because we had a lot of stuff to talk about. The next ones might be a bit smaller. I'm just going to look for somebody to host, if anybody has a suggestion. And then we will call it quits for today. So does anybody have any idea on somebody to host? Now is your time to chill out for your favorite person.
Questions.
Did I mention
is
that I
live.
sell trading post lessons?
Alright, I mean, somebody said, yay, it's Kate. So I guess that would be... Could be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, Valana's. I'm playing Divinity though at the moment.
I mean, let's host someone who's playing Guild Wars 2 right now, to be fair.
I'm Reigns. Yeah, go host I'm Reigns.
Hosting who?
Oh.
Are we getting
No,
the news right now?
No, he's a friend of mine, but
Okay.
no, probably I'd say drop it on I don't know.
Drop it on Naru or what? Anyone good with
Um,
Naru?
Boyce is a good pick.
Oh yeah, Boyce, dude, okay. Boyce is streaming, let's go with Boyce. He's a great ranger. I learned from him. Alright, we're hosting Boyce and we're moving on. Thanks everyone who watched, and catch you on the next podcast or on the YouTube video. Bye.
See ya, guys.
Goodbye.